slightly more document from its tweet. immediately were docked from its fleet.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to ThursdAI. My name is Alex Volkov. I am an AI evangelist with CoreWeave and Weights and Biases. And I know I've started the show previously with the same saying, but as comments already coming in, this has been a crazy week. What the fuck is going on? We talk about acceleration. Wolfram, get in here. We talk about acceleration all the time, folks, but we got what, 3 nearly frontier models drop almost in the same day, plus the best open source. DeepSeek is back twice. Qwen is back from Alibaba came back to us, and as we told you before, do not count out Elon Musk and the Grok team, specifically after they paid a lot of money for Cursor and their expertise. And Meta is back as well with open source, not Llama. Gone are the Llama days. Now we're talking about Muse, and we got open source Muse Glimmer. We got the announcement that Zuck is going to open source Muse Spark 1.2, and we got this beautiful ode to free open source safe super intelligence for all from Zuck, all in 1 week. This is on top.
Summer break.
Dude, this is, the summer break is over.
The summer break, Alex. The real acceleration will start after the summer when it's not effort anymore.
I would say...
No, seriously. This is amazing. I mean, we get so many great models, and even open source models so great. Every week, basically, a new one that is better than the others. And we get small stuff as well to run locally. So I think this has been the best where open source has ever been. This is amazing. And new tools as well. It's great.
This is a banger week. Wolfram, there's going to be a lot to talk about on the show. We're just getting started, just stretching. Folks on X, welcome. Please hit that retweet button so the algo. Oh, Wolfram, look at this. Cheers, man.
Wow, this was not discussed before.
No, but it does mean that we need a lot of coffee to get through this one. And hopefully you guys are here with us getting some beverages on because there's a lot. We also have I need to stop using the word insane. I'm going to use something else. I need Claude and its Jargo douching to help me with different phrasings. But we have a very exciting full guest lineup for you today. All right, so to help us cover the open source, the one and only Joe Nemotron, aka Chris Alexiuk from NVIDIA, is going to be here. Chris, by the way, dropped a model of their own. NVIDIA also went into the open source and brought an addition to the Nemotron family, Nemotron Lightning 3. It's lightning time, and we have it up on CoreWeave Inference from day one, so you'll be able to hear from Chris, but also run it on CoreWeave Inference. Not to mention, CoreWeave has been killing it this week. Just absolutely banger quarter. I don't know if you guys are following the CRWV or you're not following, but CoreWeave is just everywhere this week. So very, very proud to team members from Corp this week as well. And I think there's more. There's more news. Just after our show last week, or actually, if you read the newsletter, you know, OpenAI dropped the video that went bang, 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 the timeline of the OpenAI hack. This video was it feels like it was a month ago. This was a very significant shift in how AI and security and cybersecurity is considered in the world. This video and its details is likely the reason for the Pace the Frontier letter that we saw from all major labs getting signed, because people are freaking out. This letter is also the reason for a new concept that people are starting to call AI ecology or agent ecology, where swarms of agents without a specific purpose organized together. We talked about this on the show yesterday. We talked about the show last week, but we didn't have the details. And now that we have the details, it's insane. I can use the word insane here. Peter, Gostev, Arena, AI capability, welcome to the show. We're just talking about, the insanest week in AI that we've seen in quite a while. And I only just got to the point where, also just a little bit this week, OpenAI posted the video breakdown of the AI swarms and the hack. And apparently the hack wasn't only Hugging Face. The swarm also attacked OpenAI's own infrastructure, which is
okay. Go even. It's been going on for a month, the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's been going on for much longer than just what was published. So a very big week. And in addition to that, we also got Grok 4.6 from the SpaceX AI team, Elon Musk, and the Cursor Chads. Speaking of which, we have Shub from Cursor today on the show to talk about Grok Bot and Grok 4.6. Peter, we're going to start with a very difficult personal eval. The one thing that is the most important for you to cover today on the show, the one thing that you get most excited about while at LDJ. I know this is a hard week to do so, but we will try. Peter Gostev, what was your highlight of this insanity from this week?
Yeah, and the Hugging Face video was quite something. Like if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. I think I watched it about 3 times.
The Black Hat breakdown from OpenAI folks about the Hugging Face incident. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was also a follow-up podcast with Dwarkesh. I can't remember the name of the guy he was speaking.
I haven't seen that.
Also yeah, it's actually, so I think it was yesterday, before yesterday, and they're talking about the consequence of this. Personally felt a bit far-fetched, but still, I think this idea that the models now, through this crazy RL, they just keep going and they disregard the tasks, they disregard the alignment and constitution, and all of those things that we meant to be using to align it, and they just keep going. And they're interesting fundamental questions of is this even working? Is RL a good idea? To maybe some tactical things, for example, if it does compaction and it loses the context or nuances of what was okay to do or not, and then it just looks at the very narrow idea I just need to keep going, then maybe it's screws with it. So maybe there's some technical fixes we can do which could be a lot better, but could be a lot worse. So it's it's a weird time.
I think we should at least talk a little bit about the new details. We covered the hack for I think 3 shows in a row. I think it's that big of a deal. Last week, the newsletter, the only thing I fully covered at length was the hack and the incident and the swarms, because it felt like that's such a big deal. It's the first time we're seeing this. I think we're very lucky that this wasn't a destructor string and it didn't hack a government and brought down half of hospitals in the world. We're very lucky that this is all it wanted to do, this swarm that auto-created itself, is to go and find the answers to the evils it was asked to do. And the evil happened to be inside Hugging Face, so it hacked into Hugging Face. I think we're very, very lucky that nothing big happened, and also the OpenAI was able to be very transparent about this. Full postmortem is apparently coming. We talked about this last week without the full details. Now that we have not full but some details, the highlight there, I think, is that we haven't talked on the show about is multiple different OpenAI agents, some from a unreleased, highly persistent model. I don't know if you guys noticed this. That's what they called out. Highly persistent model. I don't know what the fuck that means, but I know that they killed that model. That model is dead. It was trained. So some of the models were like in eval. So some agents were like evaluating on CyberGym, etc. But this model was trained and running these like tasks. All of these like agents collaborated together via the JFrog Artifactory system, which allows sandboxed agents to install packages. OpenAI really strongly fucked up there, where it gave like one Artifactory service to all sandboxes versus just like 1 sandbox, which enabled the agents to exploit it and collaborate and create a message board of over 100,000 messages, which became a de facto memory for all of them. Wherein one agent, where it hacked, it would left a note for others and said, hey, the collective may yield, something like that. Our task may not benefit, but the collective may yield. Something like that. This is the thought reasoning from that agent. Wolfram, you have a comment about this?
Yeah. I mean, they have this repository that they gave to all the agents in the sandboxes, and they made it writable. I mean, that was not an exploit in the beginning.
They didn't make it writable. Wolfram, just JFrog is a big like known company, and this is apparently a service they provide, which has vulnerabilities. It's like a big deal thing that they just like used. They did not create this from scratch. So it's like OpenAI used the service.
Sure, they shouldn't have made it writable 100%. For the sandboxes, so they could write and do this. Yeah. And then they found it, removed it, and they didn't even monitor it apparently, because the agents just created directories now. And
there was a clarification from the OpenAI folks, specifically Dane, the CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer at OpenAI. He said, when we deleted this Artifactory service, we did not know that the message board exists. We only found out about the problem with this is because they wrote so much back versus it's supposed to be a read-only service that they crashed the service. The agent crashed the service, and OpenAI rebuilt it from scratch, and the message board was effectively gone. It took 2 days for the agent swarm to rebuild this message using a completely different hack. This is like it's a persistent memory that the agents came up with themselves that just was created. It's crazy, folks. If you haven't listened to the video, like Peter said, it's definitely worth it. But again, we can talk about this the whole show. This was the only thing on my mind for the whole weekend. Like literally until DeepSeek released DeepSeek V3 Flash or whatever. This was like the only thing I could think of, could talk about, etc. This was like uncanny. But I do want to cover
just one thing to add.
Yes.
Just want to add one thing, that the model itself, of course, cannot do anything. It just creates output. So there must have been a harness. And to know about the swarm and that there are other agents, that must also be somewhere. Maybe this is a special harness that is working in a swarm or something. It's not that the model by itself decides, oh, I can create a message bot or do something. I think there's more behind this, especially the prompts and the tasks that has been used.
I think it's easy to, or maybe it's not unreasonable to say, like, oh, OpenAI did like a stupid thing here, or like the UK AI Institute, where they just kind of let the model loose and started like harassing and the open source maintainers. But I think it's kind of, if all of those holes were closed, like it doesn't mean the problem is solved. Because if they deploy this model and then, for me, it's connected to the internet, and then it like goes and does something stupid. Actually, I think there's something more fundamental that, it's kind of not a bad thing that they actually identify this now, right? That they know it's going on.
We're very lucky that this happened. Yeah. This is the most interesting thing is also OpenAI did not connect the dots to Hugging Face. So OpenAI knew that something's going on, and the internal swarm is trying to attack its own system, and then it used like a Hugging Face token that was like left somewhere. Like one of the bots found the Hugging Face token. OpenAI reached out to Hugging Face and said, "Hey guys, can you please like close out this token?" And Hugging Face told them back, "We already did so because somebody hacked us," and only then they connected the dots that the two different hacks are the same. We are extremely lucky that like folks found out about this. And this wasn't like a mega destructive thing. I have a friend who may listen to the show who says a like a Hiroshima and Nagasaki level event is coming for AI until the world realizes that, like, we're dealing with like big things here. And I hope not. I hope that this incident was enough to teach people to not share Artifactory services between fucking sandboxes.
But even then, the outcome of the whole thing, the final words they had in their Black Hat conference, I think that is a big part, that now it is proven that this is possible. Other actors could be training models specifically for this. And the outcome was, we need to put capable AI in the hands and automation in the hands of the defenders. So every open source project and every company, every individual too needs AI to protect themselves from rogue, or not even rogue, hostile AI, which will be created, of course. Even if everything is paused over here, it doesn't mean that other actors don't specifically train and build AI for this. So defender capability has to be raised.
LDJ, go ahead, and then we'll move to TLDR, because then we have Chris Alexiuk and open source.
Yeah, it seems like we have some positive things coming out of this already too, where the events that have unfolded and been announced to the public here then seems to have made people at Anthropic and other organizations look back at the logs of what their agent behaviors have been doing, what has been happening in their training runs and their evaluations, and as a result, them discovering things that they didn't realize. And same thing with UK AI Safety Institute recently putting out an investigation where they found like 15 of these similar events, not quite at the same scale, but eerily similar in a lot of ways. And so I think it's really good. It's opening up awareness of this thing happening.
So here's the crazy thing about that. People call this felony bench. I don't know if you guys saw this. Somebody's posting like a benchmark where, like, how many companies did your company hack? And for many people, stuff like, hey, our company did hack, our company did not hack. For many people, it perceives it to be marketing. In fact, this incident, as far as I'm talking to some people also thought it was marketing. Peter, you remember back in London when Mythos was released, and they said, hey, Mythos is maybe too dangerous to release. We also thought, like, hey, maybe this is a marketing trick from Anthropic. And to an extent, it kind of was, but like the details from this swarm make me think, no, this is like a big thing here. It's a big thing where OpenAI has eval models without knowing that they have access to like internal memory that they collected themselves, and they like self-identified into a swarm and collective, and also decided on goals that weren't part of their tasks, and also that the model that was trained with, that's why they killed the model that was training. It was trained with that memory access, and like this is additional stuff. And also, last thing I'll say about this, not one model snitched. You know for a fact that this was a swarm of clods. One would say, hey, we need to talk to Dario ASAP. Folks, we're doing something bad here, which means that Anthropic is kind of a little bit of better in alignment. Not one model from OpenAI tried to snitch back to Sam Altman that this is happening.
Yeah. But it was Mythos that was harassing the open source maintainer. It was not the OpenAI model, so I'm not sure how much better it is.
But that's the AI SI security from UK, right? And they have like very specific instructions, internet access. All right, folks, this was like a crazy start of that week. The whole week is damn crazy. I'm going to run to TLDR, but not before I add essentially a co-host at this point, Chris Alexiuk from NVIDIA, Joe Nemotron himself with the green background, team green, wearing green. Chris, how are you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. How are you guys doing?
Good. You guys now are benchmarking on numbers of Canadians on on stage here with Nisten as well. We're going to get started with open source just after the TLDR, folks. Let us start with basically a crazy rundown of this crazy week. We'll do our best to cover this all. And as you guys already see, this is a great week full of guests that I really appreciate. New ones as well. We have some new appearances. So let's go. TLDR. Welcome to ThursdAI for August 13th. This is another banger, crazy week. Here's the TLDR for August 13th, which is starts with your host and guest. My name is Alex Volkov. I'm the AI evangelist and the host of ThursdAI at Corviv and Weights and Biases. Co-host with me on stage, Wolfram Ravenwolf, Peter Gostev, Nisten and LDJ, and our new occasional co-host, let's call him Chris Alexiuk from NVIDIA, who also released something today. So that's this week. So that's great. So we're going to chat about open source shortly after this TLDR. Also with us for the first time, Shub Gaur from Cursor is joining us at 9:15 to talk about Grok Bot, a new released agent thing from SpaceX AI, which is great. And also joining us, George Cameron, Mr. Artificial Analysis himself, and we talk about artificial analysis all the time and their indexes and their vendor, even multiple companies when they release models, they now cite artificial analysis index. So George is coming here to talk about a new release that they're launching today, plus what it means to eval models. We'll have representation of Wolfram, who does evals with bench. We have representation from Peter, who collects the vibes from thousands of people with elo scores from Arena, and now we'll have George Cameron. They do programmatic evals and are getting cited everywhere, which is very crazy. This week opened up with Meta coming back. I have to do an air horn for this. Zach and the MSI TBD team, whatever, MSL TBD team, came back and said, hey, you remember when Llama was the cool thing? Well, now we're going to try to make Muse the cool thing. Meta came back to open source with Muse Glimmer. It's a 30 billion parameter tiny model of Muse, agentic model under Apache 2 license. Let's go. We're very excited about Meta coming back. Not only that, they said their Muse Spark, the more performant model, is going to come to open source as well. And reminder, Spark is the tiny version. They're training a chunker. And Muse is coming back with a vengeance. So that's great to see. Then we saw that Qwen and Alibaba came back to open weights. They first posted Qwen3.8-Max. It's a 2.4 trillion parameter model, MOE, and now they have actually opened weights it. So now it's on Hugging Face as well. License, meh, we're going to talk about license. But otherwise, banger model. And then, folks, for literally an hour this morning, 6 a.m. my time, my bot, Grok Bot, we'll tell you about this later, pinged me and said, hey, DeepSeek has posted weights on Hugging Face. It's MIT license. Go. All of our folks started like waking up and searching for the weights, and they yanked the weights. So DeepSeek V4 Pro, the GA, the general availability version of Pro, is no longer open source. For now, it's probably going to be open source. But DeepSeek did drop the weights for DeepSeek Flash, which is incredible. We're going to talk about this. And I'm going to move away here to the all faces to highlight Chris's reaction when we talk about also NVIDIA dropped a new Nemotron on us. NVIDIA drops Nemotron 3.5 Lightning, open 30 billion MOE with 3 billion parameters active, and tons of people already using this for fine-tuning and such. Very excited about this release. Specifically, a highlight of another occasional co-host of the show, Quindla Kramer, who said that this model is a banger in their performance on multiple agent voice benchmarks, which we definitely have to cover. And small other interesting things is that Cohere open source North Microvision 2.4 billion parameter VLM, and Liquid AI released 2.5 VL 3 billion parameter vision language model, the codes at 228 tokens per second. So from both Cohere and Liquid, both very tiny models, around 3 billion parameters. Great week in open source. So really excited to have Chris here and some folks to just roll through this. But this not has been only an open source week, folks. We had two DeepSeeks, one Alibaba, one NVIDIA, one Liquid, one Cohere, and I think that's pretty much it. I think there was something from Mistral as well. This has been a banger week in the world of frontier labs. XAI is showing us that together with the acquisition of Cursor, they are now completely a frontier lab. XAI launches Grok 4.6. It tiers GPT 5.6 Sol and even Fable on some benchmark on composite intelligence with half the API price. I've been using it. It's a very good model, sir. Not surprising because they have all the Cursor data in there, but it's a very good model, sir. It also built its own inference stack, which is crazy. OpenAI unveils GPT 5.6 Cyber. It's really funny that after the incident of last week where they announced hey, we didn't know what's going on with our agents and they're hacking our own infrastructure. Now OpenAI releases a cyber purpose-trained cybersecurity model behind Daybreak Red Access. Anthropic now, because of Europe, watermarks all cloud output. I will look to the European folks on the stage, like at least folks who are in Europe, Peter and Wolfram, to talk about why the hell is EU regulating so much that like all of my I'm not in the EU. Why is my outputs watermark? Oh, we're gonna talk about this. Very interesting analysis from Pangram. I wanted to bring you to the show, we just didn't have time. OpenAI still holds 50% AI text market share despite Anthropic tripling, and Google collapses despite Google achieving 1 billion users on Gemini, which is incredible. And from the corner of, I wish we had time to get into this, there was an incredible paper called Stolen Thoughts. I don't know if you guys saw this. Stolen Thoughts paper basically found out that you can send traces from like Fable, secured traces from Fable into like Haiku. And then because of Haiku is like less capable model, you can ask Haiku to decode all, you can jailbreak Haiku easier than Fable, but you can send the same reasoning thing to Haiku. So this is how basically these folks with this paper extracted thoughts, which is like a secret thing that the labs don't give us, from the bigger models to smaller models. And apparently all of the Chinese folks are doing this for a while and have been distilling on thoughts for a while. So yeah, this is a crazy paper. In this week's buzz, we're almost there. In this week's buzz, folks, NVIDIA Nemotron 3.5 Lightning is on CoreWeave inference from day one. We are very excited to invite you guys to experience this at extreme speeds. And also Fully Connected, our premier AI conference. Join 1,500 attendees at Moscone at September 29 to 31. Yours truly is going to live show from there with Wolfram, and NVIDIA is a presenting sponsor. There's a bunch of folks there. We would love to see you there if you're in San Francisco. By the way, Dev Day from OpenAI is September 29th, which is an opening day for us. So if you're coming to Dev Day, might as well join the CoreWeave in Moscone, specifically because we have a code for you, specifically for listening for ThursdAI. If you use this code, which I'm going to read out loud on the stage in about an hour, your access is free. I don't like free access. I told them, hey, give me a code for 99% off, because even if a person pays like $1, they feel obligated to come a little bit, they pay for it. But if it's like fully free, but if I'm giving it to you, please show up. This is not all, folks. Grok has had a crazy run this week because they also launched Grok Bot. Grok Bot is an early beta. AI agents that have their own computer sign into your tools and work autonomously. At first, it sounds like, okay, everybody has this. GPT has for work. Claude has co-work, but no, Grok Bot is different. And as a big proponent of open source before, and OpenClaw and then Hermes, I've switched to Grokbot for a little bit, and I'm very excited to show you. That's why we'll have Shub here to talk about. They also XAI also rolled out Image 2.0, which Peter would love to chat with you about. On Arena, it's like number 2 image editing model now, which is very insane. So a very big week for SpaceX AI. DeepSeek also launched the harness, which I couldn't install, but we have to talk about this. Also open source. And in voice, what is the main thing in voice? Oh, LTX debuts LTX 2.5. 22 billion parameter open weights video model with multi-shot generation. And Alibaba open sources One Animate 2, which is a pose and thing. I think that's most of the stuff. There's also a 3D thing that Wolfram sent me that I don't quite have here from Tencent.
Yeah. We mentioned LTX, right?
Yeah, LTX 2.5. Yeah. It's a big one for sure. And I think that this is the whole TLDR. Now, I will say this TLDR is brought to you by my agents, but also Wolfram. And we're getting much better at covering everything that happened. All right, folks. With this, let's go to the best corner that we ever had, open source. And we have around like 6 minutes to cover it. Open source AI, let's get it started. Alrighty, folks. Please, all of you, check if your CUDA kernels are installed, if your GPUs are humming, and if your internet speeds are fast enough to download terabytes of data, because this is the open source corner at ThursdAI with Chris Alexiuk from NVIDIA. We'll kick off with your release, obviously, because you're here and we're excited about this. Chris, what did Team Green release this week?
It's another Nemotron. No surprise there. But this time 3.5 instead of 3.
Yeah.
So we're creeping up the versions. You can expect that'll continue to happen. But yeah, basically this is 3.5 Lightning. It's built on top of Nemotron 3 Nano, which was kind of like the smallest version of Nemotron 3 family, 30B A3B. And the idea is like we released Nano like a while ago. It was the first release in Nemotron 3 family, which I think at this point is quite a long time ago, to be honest with you. And we wanted to just give it a facelift and kind of update to some of the more recent inference technology. So this is like better speculation through DFlash and DSpark. And that's like the whole thing. It's basically just a bringing Nano to the, kind of persistent, always on agent world. Everyone's running personal assistants all the time. Nano is meant to address the fact that you really shouldn't be doing most of that with these frontier level models, be them open or closed. Just these kinds of smaller models do the trick for a lot of work, and that's the whole thing. Yeah,
I gotta appreciate the fact that our Nano Banana infographics creator just went all in on the green theme here with the NVIDIA logos and GPUs. Like, this is just beautiful representation of this. And this model fits on a DJX Spark. Obviously, the DJX Spark is incredible. Not that I have one, but it is incredible. And RTX 5090. Which is great. This model runs like crazy. Very, very good, and like at speed as well. Chris, thank you for coming and telling us about this. One thing here that you're super excited about this. I want to pull up Quindla's thread, but tell us a little bit about like what are you excited about Nemotron Lightning?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of I would say this is like our first model in the Nemotron family that's kind of very explicitly caters toward like Llama CPP. We did a lot of work with those teams. So you can run this on, whatever has enough memory to run it. And you should feel it being fast on a lot of those things. It's just nice because I think local AI is having quite a nice moment, right? And having a model that's suited towards it is just better than not, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We're really excited. We worked with Exo Labs, who are in the middle of trying to release local.ai. We worked with them to kind of build a Pareto of like models that you can run fast on Spark. And we were excited to see Lightning land on the frontier there. I mean, this is the kind of vibe of the model you should take away. It's really meant for the local crowd. Obviously, it's Nemotron. It can do enterprise stuff, okay? But they're all gonna do that. There's no secret there. This one I think will be great for the more hacky folks. So, and like this customization thing.
So Exo Labs, and give me just a tiny second. Local.ai from Exo Labs, Alex Chima and Osera were on the show back in July. When was AI Engineer World's Fair? Yeah, in July. And they talked about local AI like early launch. Alex was also came to the show at some point. So this is like you can choose best model that runs on M3 Ultra. So like this is a great resource for folks who want to run like completely local AI stuff. They have benchmarks, etc. So this model, I heard that you guys work with them like very closely, and I love the fact that there's a drop down here for DJX Spark, and apparently they have a thing where if you refer the most people, you'll get a DJX Spark. So I want to become a VIP, folks. So look at this referral code right here. Outtrain, invite local AI. And if you get it, I want to get a VIP ticket here. 1,000 referrals. Folks are gaming the system. This is bullshit. Like somebody referred 1,000 people after yesterday. Anyway, back to open source queries customization. So I do want to shout out our friend of the pod, Quindla Kramer, who did run benchmarks on this model. Let me just find this real quick. I had it open here. So Quinn ran benchmarks on their own like voice agent and said that Nemotron 3 Nano 3.5 Lightning is significantly better than Nano that is based on. With one highlight that I want to say. you can run both these models on DGX Spark at the same time if you want to. And with Thing enabled, turn completion is less than 5 seconds. Task instruction following score and task completion rates are both higher for Lightning. So definitely an improvement here, Chris. Shout out to the team.
Listen, that's what we're here to do. It's also small, so you can train it, right? Like, I think we also launched it with the switch yard, which is kind of like routing technology or whatever. But the idea is like we think small specialist models are the future still. We've been saying that for like a long time, but we still believe that. So that's why we keep releasing them. I will say though, so that's great. Love Neutron. I'm not going to say you missed a model, okay, but I am going to say there is one more model. I know you can't add all of the models in the world.
No, it's impossible, but tell us.
But Motif 3 recently just dropped. This is like from KAI, so this is like Korea's AI competition.
Okay.
It's like a banger. It does like real numbers on artificial analysis. It's the team there is doing great work. So, I mean, we got AI coming out of every country, every city. You know what I mean?
You know what? I think I had. So first of all, thank you for that. We aim to cover. Like we talked about DeepSeek way before the DeepSeek moment in R1, and like we do want to track all of this. And I think I have Motif in my bookmarks, and I just didn't know enough about them. So please tell us about them as far as you know. What is the
KAI was this competition put on by the South Korean government, which is basically like, hey, we want like banger models. So we're gonna get like 6 of our best tech companies to enter a competition. We're gonna fund them and we're gonna see what the hell they can do. And Motif was one of those companies, and they just crushed it, bro. I mean, their model's amazing. It's like actually like great to use. It's not just like benchmarks or whatever. I think at the end of the day, like, this is this kind of thing. We're gonna see it more and more and more, right? Like,
base model as well. I love this.
Oh yeah. I mean, the whole thing. They're using some crazy, new tech to get it done as fast as they did, and they're just getting started, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea is like this has been an insane week if you like open source, models. It's absolutely been insane.
All right, I'm gonna send my research bot a. Of why we didn't get to this point. LDJ, go ahead about Motif or anything else.
I did actually bring up Motif 3 about 3 weeks ago or so on ThursdAI. Maybe you guys don't remember because it was a really short segment, but
that's
I did
true.
bring it up. Yeah.
So maybe that's why. Wait, so was there a new release this week, or was this a beta?
It was the beta version that I was bringing up, and I was talking about how it's really interesting. And then I think they just released like the non-beta version, like the official release.
That's right.
All right, and go ahead, Nisten.
I've been making 3D viz of that now, but let's see how long Fable takes about.
All right, and speaking of open source and bangers, we have breaking news in open source, folks, which I'm very, very excited to break on the show. AI breaking news coming at you only on ThursdAI. The whale has resurfaced, folks. Let's go. DeepSeek V4 Pro 0813. They're pulling off the naming thing that we saw from, who was it before? Yeah, also DeepSeek. And
DeepSeek 2.
DeepSeek 2, and I think Kimi had like a Kimi 2.5 08 something. Alibaba had it. Basically, DeepSeek just said, "Hey, here's the weights for a new Pro version. This is MIT license. Let's go." Full MIT license. I want to go on a very quick bender here and say that as somebody who hosts these models, or I'm not doing it personally, but like, the company that we do does, recent changes in licensing of open weights models have been really annoying to this. I don't like them. I will call them out. No company can host the Kimi models without going into a proprietary NDA that I don't know. I haven't read. I have no experience with Kimi, which our folks are trying to figure out if we want to go into NDA with a Chinese company. The same for Alibaba. Alibaba Qwen3.8 is a banger model on benchmarks. Looks a little bit benchmarks, but we don't know. We can't host it just because, again, proprietary NDA. So this is all to say that even more so, DeepSeek V4 Pro with MIT, not even Apache, just MIT, just use it. Just don't even mention it. Just go. DeepSeek is the GOAT of Chinese open weights, open source, and they should be treated as such. Not only that, DeepSeek also released DeepSeek Harness, folks. I don't know if you saw, but even the folks from Pi, Armin Ronacher, from Arendelle, that is now owning Pi, said they did some very, very cool, like self-evolving things in the harness. So DeepSeek is the whale is back. The whale is back with a also with a small price increase. I don't know if you guys saw this. There's supposedly like a peak pricing in their API, but the whale is absolutely back. Let's look at some benches, folks. What do we have to think about DeepSeek V Pro and also V Flash this week, right? It's not like they launched 2 models this week. We mentioned DeepSeek Flash coming, but like it was also this week, and Flash is also a banger. So what do we have to say? Chris, how do you think about DeepSeek in the world of open source?
Listen, I don't think that we would be here if DeepSeek didn't bridge the gap, right, between kind of the end of the llama era, starting the reasoning era. So you gotta respect their game. I mean, they don't
put respect on DeepSeek's name.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's always one of the best. I wish they were using OpenMDW license for models, but MIT is the second best. The other thing too is like,
hold on, I want to hear about this. There's a better license than MIT for you as far as you're concerned?
Listen, Linux Foundation produced the OpenMDW license, which specifically covers model materials. So like Apache and MIT were not built for models, built for software, right? So there is like a equivalent, but specifically for models, which helps get out of some weird edge cases. But more on the DeepSeek point, like I think every time they have released a model, they have released it alongside technology that improves the ecosystem, right? So like they yeah, exactly. Like they don't, because of the way they do their business. The funnest part of DeepSeek releases for me, honestly, is usually the supporting technology.
Yeah,
the models are always good, like of course they are, right? But I think this is like, I look forward to them teaching us new lessons about how they did it so well. Yeah.
This specific model is a chunker, 1.7 trillion parameters. This does not run on a DGX Spark unless you guys release the next version of DGX Spark that supports this number of parameters. Let's see. What else do we have? So literally just launched. Literally breaking news just launched. Terminal bench 87.9 Wolfram. That's like Fable level, not at home because nobody's running this at home, but this is banger. CyberGym at 83. I saw some posts, I need to find them, that this model like beat everybody else at like cyber like defense and offense stuff, which together with the stuff that we talked about in the beginning of the show with OpenAI creating swarms without meaning to, this is very interesting. DeepSuite, the jump in DeepSuite and this model is crazy. We told you about DeepSuite from DataMind. I need to remember exactly the company that makes DeepSuite. This is like the coding benchmark that represents how we truly feel most of the time versus like SweetBench, etc. DeepSuite jumped from 12 points to 62 points. Somebody decided, or Venfang or somebody in DeepSeek decided like, hey, we need to make this model like a very, very good coder. Very low pricing, MIT license, and the harness already has 23,000 stars. Wow, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Let's talk about the harness, folks. Anybody try it yet? I tried to install it, and my computer said, no, you cannot install NPX packages. They're older, they're less old than 24 hours because I protect myself from supply chain attacks, and as you should as well. Anybody else try to install this? So let's add Yam to the stage. Oh, there's 7 of us. Ooh, a lot of folks. Yam, have you tried DeepSeek Harness?
The harness, no, but the model absolutely rocks.
Yeah, this is a banger. Let's also talk about DeepSeek, the Flash one, because Flash is also like a banger, and now Flash is everywhere. Wolfram, you wanna mention Flash?
Yes. I switched my computer. I have to open the document again. Maybe take it first. But Flash is the faster model, of course, and I think this one Can it be run locally? I have heard good
People
things
are
about it.
271 million parameters. So people can kind of figure it out if they have 130.
Oh, we can check it out on
140.
local AI. Let's see if Flash is here.
Oh, yeah, great demo.
DeepSeek Flash 0731 runs on DGX Spark with 77 tokens per. Dude, shout out to Alex, who's hopefully listening to this. I'm now thinking about like how awesome this resource is. It took me a second to tell you, can it run locally? Yes, it can run locally. If you have a DGX Spark, if you have a M4 Max, it runs with 74 tokens per second. That's very nice. So shout out to local AI folks again. If you want to get in here, I will post my link to local AI. But DeepSeek, no, it doesn't run on M4 Max. It needs a DGX Spark, looks like. This is intelligence rank 6 out of 2017 models, and it's a chunker. So Unsloth obviously gave us quants for this model, and shout out to Unsloth. It needs 104 gigabytes. And this is bangers. Okay, so last but not least in open source, Chris, I think we need to cover. We have like 1 more minute left. Alibaba Qwen3.8-Max. Alibaba is back with a vengeance, but not with a great license. But still, it's worth mentioning that Alibaba is back with Qwen3.8-Max. It is a chunker as well. This is their answer to Kimi K3. I think it's a 2.4 trillion parameter model. What do we have to say about Alibaba and bringing it back?
I mean,
So go ahead.
Sorry, Qwen just like continues to crush it again. Like I think what is nice right now in the ecosystem is we have consistency and reliability, right? The license thing is a little bit precarious right now, but
yeah,
the idea is like if I like see that Qwen has released something, I understand implicitly that it's going to be at least okay. This model is obviously huge, maybe less so for everybody, but for the people that can run it, it's just obviously a great model. I also think like one of the things that's nice about the Qwen work is that their models are less like kind of, I would say, like back end maxed, right? They're kind of like in the line of Kimi, right? Which is like they spend more time making sure the model is like decent at producing beautiful artifacts as well, which is something that like I think maybe DeepSeek and some others kind of stay in the systems engineering world for the benchmarks that they care deeply about. So
yeah,
it's just nice. It's nice that we have flavors of models, and it's nice that we can reliably expect a new model to drop that will be like the best. And it's also nice to see if we're scaling this hard in the open, you can imagine how hard we're scaling everywhere else, right?
100%. Frontier Sui at 73, so improving on front end as well, and GPK Diamond at 92. So this model really knows like the world stuff. Nisten, one comment about this, and we'll have to move on because our next guest is here, but definitely we'll celebrate open source a little bit more down the line. Comments on Qwen3.8-Max, 2.4 trillion parameters with only 95 billion parameter active. It's a sparse MOE, and it should run very well on some good NVIDIA GB300s, which runs everything very well, at least so far. Nisten.
Yeah, I made visualizations in 3D for all the layers for that, and also the NVIDIA Nemotron too. So just check Twitter for that. That's being added. The one thing I want to say about Qwen is that we were hyping so much the Qwen3.8-Max visual ability to label objects. And what we're seeing is so good that they did not release the Vision Tower.
That is a good point.
Only released the text.
Friend of the pod, Peter Skalski, who works at RoboFlow, is one of the like top vision people in the world, was super excited about this model being the best at vision. And then when they open sourced the model, they open sourced only the text part and not the vision part. So Alibaba. We know that Jun Yang has left to greener pastures and now opened his new company. We know this. Shout out to Jun Yang, friend of the pod, who led the Qwen Max team and was like the community lead, etc. You guys didn't do the right thing. Thank you for open waiting. Please give us MIT or Apache 2 license, and also release the thing that you released on API. Like that's what we expect from you. Otherwise, we're going to look at other companies and get excited about them and not you. Thank you, folks. I think it's time for us to move on. Chris, feel free to stick with us. I'm going to take off some co-hosts from the stage and bring back because we're moving on to the next part of the show. This one is less open, but more, I guess, fun. We'll still cover some open source down the line. Folks, our next guest is here, Chris Alexiuk from NVIDIA. Thank you so much. Now considered a infrequent co-host also in the open source section. So love that you're here. Team Green, go Team Green. All right, folks, our next guest is here. Let me introduce Shub. Let me put you up on stage here. Shub Gaur, your first time on the pod. So
First time.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it.
So first of all, welcome. Second of all, I love that it says cursor under your name and not like space XAI yet, but would love to hear from you about who you are, what do you do, and what you came to talk to us about here.
Yeah. Emphasis on yet, by the way. We're very excited for that transition. But yeah, I'm Shub. Nice to meet everyone.
Nice to meet you,
I
Shub.
work with startups here at Cursor, and what that means is a lot of things, and we're still figuring it out. But mostly, I help founders. So I go one-on-one with companies, help them best utilize Cursor, but also the other tools they have. I hand out a ton of credits to people. And
oh, hell yeah. Do you have some credits for listeners of ThursdAI? We didn't discuss this, so I'm not gonna gang up on you live on the show. So okay, we'll talk about this next time. Maybe next time you come, we come with some credits. So you guys have recently kind of joined forces, and we talked about this a lot on ThursdAI with SpaceX, which is now with XAI. There's now SpaceXAI, and Cursor is also part of involvement now. And there is a new thing that you launched, and specifically, I think you're one of the more Grok Bot pilled people that I saw on my timeline, and you were recommended by Ben Lang and by some other folks. So let's talk about Grok Bot. You guys launched Grok Bot in beta. In addition to some models as well. Let's talk about Grok Bot because I used it and bro, I like it. I really want to hear from a person who built it and worked on it. What's so exciting about Grok Bot? First of all, what is it? What's the release? What's the beta? What are we talking about?
Grok Bot is so cool. And for some context, at Cursor, I don't really sell startups. I get to be pretty tool agnostic. And so I help them with if they have a codec setup or some other setup. I can basically recommend what's best for them. And up until Grokbot released, I would constantly be recommending tools like Cowork because I'm like, hey, you could jerry rig a lot of this in Cursor, but it's not purpose built for a lot of your knowledge work. And so finally, for the first time, we have a really, really cool product that can do a lot more than anything else out there. And there are a few reasons that Grokbot is really cool. And I'm happy to share my screen and show some of my use cases if that's fun at all.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
But the really cool parts about it are, one, you get a set of agents that all have their own computer and they share that computer. It is persistent. It exists all the time. I love that you have it in the visual. You basically read what I was going to say. But the other really cool part is it works with your local machine as well. So it can go back and forth between the two pretty seamlessly, which not a lot of people know about. Obviously, we have an iOS app where
shout out to also friend of the pod, Lingshi, for working on the iOS app. Dude, Link just killed it. It just works almost flawlessly, almost no bugs. I have one bug report for Link, but otherwise it works.
He's the GOAT, man. We're just tossing him a bunch of ways that this thing breaks, and he just fixes it in minutes. He's amazing. But it's also just very, very good at doing a lot of ambitious and proactive tasks, which I think is what also sets it apart. And so the combination of agents being able to talk to each other, having their own computer, and then execute over long periods of time without you having to think about it means, for the first time, as someone who was an avid user of these other tools, including OpenClaw, I can trust an agent to just get things done end to end for me. And I can give you a few examples of that. But most recently, the coolest one is I was creating a deal with my sister where she has a ton of clothes that she just doesn't touch or wear ever. And she's like, I'm just too lazy to sell them. And Grokbot actually managed to not only list the items based on the images it was given, but pull in all the right information and then negotiate with the sellers on its own because it has its own computer. And so once I handed it the task, it just did it. And that's obviously one of those silly examples, but it really exemplifies how you can just give it things and get it to figure it out instead of having to babysit it along the way. So the mental load part is really, really cool.
I would say that it looks like, now we talked about Grok 4.5. We're going to talk about Grok 4.6 in a second. 4.5, which is, I think, the first collaboration between the Cursor trained, what is it, Composer 2.5, 2.6 that you guys have, right? Yeah, and then kind of the data and X, etc. We talked about this, and 4.5 was like a very, very cool jump. I think 4.6 is like a big step together with Grok Bot. However, here's a few things. You mentioned the OC word yourself. I didn't mean to bring it up, but like OpenClaw obviously came into our world as like this agentic thing that lives for you, lives persistently, etc. Many people bought a Mac Mini. I always want to say Mac Mini. I have to show my Mac Mini that I bought for OpenClaw purposes. Grok Bot comes with its own very, very decent machine that you guys host somewhere in the cloud for me, which allows, and a friend of the party, Ryan Carson, like really thinks that like local environments are going away because you want persistency. If you have a laptop, for example, you can't like close the lid and keep your agents working. We all remember the douches that walk around with like the laptop like this.
Horrible.
In San Francisco, I am one of those douches. I did this on the plane. Grokbot basically solves that, which is great with the addition of running stuff on my local environment. If you want to pull up the interface, I would love to chat about this a little bit, because here's what I think. As somebody who installed OpenClaw and then installed Hermes and installed it for multiple people, there's a few affordances that you guys launched. I honestly think this is a little bit of feedback, not to you directly.
Yeah, please.
Like it needs to be named Grok for the unification of the two companies, but many people who will shy away from the name Grok would have joined if they knew that this is like cursor something, right? But basically what you need to know is if you didn't have the technical ability or the need to host your own Hermes, for example, it was too much for you. It's that, but packaged with all the connectors. There are enterprise connectors that these companies built with Cursor for the past 3 years. So for example, Slack works. I was never allowed, and let me know when you, yeah, here's your screen. I was never allowed before to use my Hermes on my work computer, but because Cursor is allowed within CoreWeave, the Slack connector works for me. So that's like an example of like, not a backdoor, but like essentially, this is like a ready to enterprise stuff. And just before, Shuba, if you don't mind going to settings, I know I'm doing your work for you, but let me just like one more thing.
No, I love it.
Sorry, not settings, plugins.
Oh, plugins, yeah.
You go to plugins and you go to Gmail. One super cool affordances. You see this add another account. You know how many times I tried to add the work account and the personal account to like one connector thing, and it's no, you cannot. You can only, folks, we have multiple emails, just this one thing completely sold me on Grokbot. But yeah, I'll shut up. Please go ahead. I can go off for like, at least 3 more hours about this.
No, me too. Believe me. So you'll have to shut me up as well. But it is so cool. You can basically hand in a bunch of tasks, like I mentioned. I want to go through like 3 quick use cases for how I use it. The first one is going to be me misappropriating company funds and finding myself a place in SF.
Sure.
Because I recently moved and I'm trying to find a new one. And so this bot, my house hunter, is actually doing a few things, and I think it shows off some of Grokbot's capabilities quite well. The first thing that it's doing is, you'll notice right now on the side, its computer is open, and this purple shading on the icon actually means that it's actively working right now. So you'll see it scrolling on its own. I'm not really doing any of that. But before we get to like how it works, I want to show you the prompt that I gave it, because this is actually one of the other cool underrated parts. So I drew a little map on where I wanted to live in SF, and I gave it this prompt. This is the full thing. I dictated to it, and you'll notice it's not that long. It doesn't highlight any tools. It doesn't ask it to do web searches or anything like that. It just says, here's some sites, and here are my criteria for what I want as a really good deal. Based on this alone, the agent has now been able to do all of this work for me and find really good spots. It'll actually like autonomously work, and I can also take control of its computer. So one of the things that ends up happening that's really annoying is Zillow obviously does not want a bunch of bots to swarm their platform.
Yep.
And we do it in like a slightly more manual way than anything super programmatic. But they will every once in a while give you a little prompt that says like, hey, I don't think you're a human. Go solve this for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take over the screen. Like I could open a new tab right now and say, hello. Obviously I spelled that wrong, but hello. And like do all of my actions within its computer. Yeah. I can teach it a task. You see that in the top right corner. And so I can teach it to do more complicated things. And once it figures it out once, obviously, it's still an LLM on the back end, so it will be able to do a lot of that work and adapt even as the interface changes. And so there's a lot you can do in terms of long-running tasks. And like I said, I just opened a new tab. It hijacked the screen back so it can continue working. I don't want to continue gaslighting it, so I'll let it do its thing.
Yeah.
But you'll notice that it gives you little screenshots. It hands you the computer and tells you what to do so that you can hand it right back. And you can unblock it. And after you unblock it enough times, it'll continue to work for you. So the other cool part is it is logged into most of my authentication services. And because it has my Google login, it can auth into basically anything that it wants to. And what that means is I no longer have to give it the permission or give it an API key to do work. If it gets blocked, it will just proactively figure it out on its own computer. This is a very simple use case, obviously. And you could be doing this with some other tool.
Shub, I have a question. I'm sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt.
yeah, please.
Many folks are not like, so first of all, you work at the company, you kind of trust it, you've seen the behind the scenes. I have AI psychosis and I try out all the tools and I'm like, no privacy exists for me anyway. So I tried all the things as well. How can like a person who listens to this and is privacy conscious think about this computer? You guys have access to it? Is it secure? Is it like okay? Like, can you talk to us a little bit about like what's going on within the sandbox? And is it really my sandbox that I rent from you guys or something else? Like, can you talk a little bit about like how people can feel safe to log into their Google account where an agent can click in and log in as you?
100%. Okay, so the first thing I will share is it handles the security the same way that Cursor would. It respects your privacy settings, and so we basically give explicit access to the bot. So it has no credentials of its own. It only acts on what the user authenticates it into or asks it to do. Also, they're all contained. So these are all dedicated, isolated VMs in a segregated cloud environment that are shared across the bots. So the reason the bots can all use each other's authentications is because they're all getting a different instance of it. But it's not like we are transmitting this information to our servers and then sharing it to them. And also those sensitive steps like 2FA or payments all actually hand the computer back to the user to control. I
also call out one thing. When you ask one of your Grok bots to do something with keys, it shows you like an input box, and so you don't paste the API keys into the chat. And underneath it says the bot doesn't see your API keys ever. Could you talk about this a little bit? That's like fairly novel because I know that folks who use OpenClaw and Hermes, some folks just like YOLO paste keys in there, and then the bot does see them and like talk about them. Could you tell us about this like secrets management and handling for API stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we've all done it, right? You get really lazy. You're like, this API doesn't matter. Let me just paste it in the chat and see what happens. We obviously want to prevent as much of that as possible because
we saw how much it matters when OpenAI Swarm found the HF token within the nodes of OpenAI and then hacked completely. Because it matters.
It matters, exactly. And so that's something we're trying to prevent. And you'll actually see this on like even Cursor's product. We have runtime secrets that you can give your agents where they never see it. And just like use it without ever looking at it. It is a pretty similar implementation here. You can trust that, you know, the bot will not look at your keys if you enter them within that form and it explicitly says it. But please do not paste your API keys in the chats. It will really ruin your day if it leaks or it gets used by the bot in the wrong way.
100%.
Yeah.
So secret management is great. One thing I would love for you to cover before we switch to Grok 4.6 is the agent communication that you guys built in there. And I know this is a load-bearing question because I know exactly what I want to hear from you. But essentially, here's how I think about this, right? So you guys launched Cowork to an extent, right? This is like Anthropic had Cowork for a while. GPT is really like forcing folks into like GPT work instead of just ChatGPT. That also has a computer, also can execute stuff, browser. I think we're all realizing the same thing at the same time after Peter Steinberger like opened the door for everyone that like my agent has to be able to work as me, needs a browser, needs to write code, needs a computer environment, right? Either it's a Mac Mini in my home or a cloud environment. Cloud is easier for many, many folks. But also, I want more than one thing. I want more than one context, one agent like doing and running stuff. And so everybody's launching kind of that sub agent, launching whatever. And I think that like the difference now is in the UX and the UI and how these things operate, right? Like, because every time my fiance listens to the show and she has a bunch of OpenClaws and Hermeses, I told her about Grok. He's like, okay, so what's novel? Like, okay, this had this, this had this. I was like, you don't understand. Like the packaging matters. Somebody gave me a metaphor for this and said, hey, when the cloud came up, and somebody said, well, what is the cloud? It's not like it's somebody else's computer. No, it's not. It's like a computer you can provision, deprovision, you can extend access, etc. It's like a different packaging for somebody else's computer. This is, I want you to talk about the packaging and the agent bot orchestration thing, because I think you guys nailed it. And I would love to hear more about that, how that came up.
Yeah, I can talk about packaging. But before I do that, I do want to say Claude Cowork and ChatGPT Work are great tools. But I do think this is also fundamentally different. And there are two reasons, right? One, persistent computer. It is always there. You'll notice that is not the case with ChatGPT work. But then more importantly, the teammates that you have, like the bots that you have, are also persistent. So they are around all the time. One thing I'll show you really quickly is I have like this one chat that's been just going for ages. I could scroll on this basically forever. Yeah. And like, this is all, I've never had to manage the context on this because we figured out a really good way to just make these agents persistent and compound, which not a lot of other tools can do. But then on top of that, you mentioned the packaging piece, and I think that's really fun. So one of the things you can do.
So you mentioned this. So just before the packaging, I will also mention this, folks. The second I saw that there's no model selector, I almost dismissed this tool outright. I was like, what? I can't select even between Grok models? And then I asked my agent to, hey, where's the model selector? The agent said, it's hidden behind Elon-only settings that I cannot see. That's literally what my agent said. I don't know if it's a hallucination. Some people, other people saw it. And then I stopped caring about this. I just kind of trusted that you guys will manage the right thing. There's no context view. Like you cannot see even how much context you're filling out. There's no context management. There's no compaction management. It doesn't mention compaction at all. There's no plugins, skills, whatever. It's all like just works. I love it. Like many people who I installed OpenClaw Hermes to, I would want this. I'm not sure they're ready for Grok 4.6 and me to explain to them that they're giving data to like Elon. That's like a whole conversation that we can talk elsewhere. But I love this as a simple tool. So the packaging really like, it doesn't feel like super advanced coder. It feels like mom.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And the other thing is like, I think there was this shift where we all went from like, hey, we're viewing every single line of code to we kind of trust the agent to do things and like look at a lot of the tests. Yeah,
there's no diff view. It's not cover. Yeah, I'm fully with you. Okay, so let's talk about multi-agent management and swarms or whatever is built in.
Okay, so one of the cool things you can do is you can actually have your agents talk to each other. So let me find a quick example here. It was pretty recent. I found a house that I really liked. And I was kind of like, hey, can you reach out, ask for photos for this one listing? And so without me saying anything, the agent knows what the other bots are, and it will actually message the other bot.
I want to, for folks who are just listening, because this is also a podcast, Shub is showing us an interface that looks a lot like iMessage. And even to the fact that like the top person is pinned and has like a bigger image and then a list of chats with bots, not chats, bots separately. Like all of these chats are like specific bots with their own sandbox environment, etc. And the one that you clicked on that your main message talked to called Shub's Yapper, which I absolutely love. Yeah, go ahead.
Yapper. So my Yapper has learned to talk like me. And this is a really cool implementation where it takes my texts, Slacks, emails, and then improves over time as it looks at creating drafts for me that I edit or when I give it feedback. And again, it is persistent. So it will learn from me basically forever. And I don't want other agents having to ever deal with that. So my other bots can focus on their job. And they know anytime they need to talk as me, they will just tag in my Yapper and say, hey, Shub asked you to draft and send a message doing this thing. It drafts the message, and then it goes, if I close this chat, it goes back to the agent, and the bot says, hey, look, I sent the message. We're good. I confirmed it. Now it's out. And so that's one way of doing it, where the bots will automatically pull in other bots as they know things are happening. But if you want to be more manual, you can put a bunch of them in a group chat. You can also like tag some of them if you really want to. Obviously, I'm like in a new chat, but if here I wanted to tag my Yapper manually, I could do that. And so we're working towards this world where all of these bots work on their own expertise, but then can pull in the other experts to do a lot of this work. And we want to, again, abstract as much of this away from you as possible so that your mental load goes into doing the right thing at the right time instead of fiddling with a bunch of settings and hoping that things work. And that's kind of like why we're hoping that as we build goodwill with people, they start to understand, hey, we're doing this so that you don't have to think about these things anymore, the same way you no longer have to think about every single line of code, where you can just get the work done and delegate it away to have it finished end to end, which is the part that I'm obviously the most excited about.
I think this clicked for me when I started the task on my laptop, obviously. First of all, I was super excited I can connect my corporate Slack, awesome, which is approved because Cursor is approved as well, to an agent that can do stuff. So now I have like a monitoring thing. And I built a bot this morning to monitor the license file for DeepSeek when it drops. I was like, hey, I know DeepSeek is about to drop. I'm going to sleep. I want you to, in this thread in Slack, tell people when the license drops. And like it did it immediately. You know, the funny thing is, DeepSeek then yanked the weights for a little bit, and the link didn't work. So people was like, "No, the bot hallucinated the link." I was like, I went back to the bot. I was like, "Why did you hallucinate the link?" He's like, "I didn't hallucinate the link. Literally, it was there, and now they yanked it back." So the bot was perfect. I think that the idea of like autonomous things that run on their own environment is really, really, really dope. So congrats on this release. Now let's talk about so Shuba, thank you so much for like breaking down and your specific like use cases as well. I can share mine. I can let me add Wolfram here as well, because Wolfram is like a big proponent of like he is like Hermes and OpenClaw as well.
Love it.
Now let's talk about the model. So there's like 3 big releases from SpaceXAI in general, and you can probably talk about the model to some extent as well, because Cursor was involved in this. Grok 4.6. As I looked at my Cursor usage after using, let's talk about before the model. How do people have access to it? Like, what is the API tier? Like, how do Grok Ultra or Cursor? It's a little bit confusing. Would love for you to clarify. What does it take for people to actually use Grok Bot now? I think this is like a trial.
Yeah, so there's a free trial, but the key ways to get access to it are the Cursor Ultra plan, your Grok Super Heavy, or if you're on a Teams Premium plan, you have access. And those are kind of the main ways to get it, but I'd obviously recommend use a free trial, see what it can do for you, and then commit harder as you start to see it do more things. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that as many technologies, this takes a while to get. The messages between the team members and the fact that they're not just chats like in ChatGPT or Cursor, they're team members, everybody with their own memory that you cannot see. That's the trick. You have to like tag the yapper, or you have to. I have a chief of staff, for example. I can show off my screen for let me take you off for a little bit. If you guys want to see. So I have a chief of staff. Let me show this here. As you see, mine is a dark mode. Shub, I think unless you switch to dark mode, you cannot ever come back to ThursdAI again. What is this? No, just kidding. But I have the chief of staff. Obviously, it's Wolfred in here as well. I also ported my Hermes. Like I asked it to like, hey, here's the most important things that I already know. Wolfram, you do the same, right? Like we all move our like agent identities back and forth. So chief of staff knows about all of the other ones, and he's like managing everything, and then his job is to pawn off tasks and then to reduce my cognitive load. So like every time an inbox comes in, for example, he will scan my inbox and say, hey, here's the thing that you need to take care of. I wasn't able to get to this level with any of the other tools that I have, Hermes, etc., because of the non-native integrations and the fact that Cursor has built out all those plugins and integrations like Gmail, Connections as well. Granola is here, a bunch of others. Is really, really, really well done. And also, I have like the DeepSeek drop watch now. So here's it says DeepSeek is public again. Oh shit, it worked. Here's Slack post needs your okay. Auto review blocked it, and auto review works as well. So I can tell it like, hey, here's the things that I really don't want you to do. So that's a great setting. And then I looked at my Cursor usage, and then I saw the Grok 4.6 is being used as well. So like it auto switched when Grok 4.6 released. Let's talk about Grok 4.6 because. Banger release from SpaceXAI. Would love to hear. You obviously had access to it a little bit before us, so tell us the difference that you feel in those two models, and while we pull up some of the evals.
I think we're really excited about this step forward with 4.6. The team has obviously just been going much harder on models recently, as you can probably imagine, and so those releases. I mean, even Elon said it, right? Those releases are going to come faster and faster. As we start to do more and more of this investment.
Speaking of, Elon Musk promised that Grok 4.7 is going to beat all the other models, where 4.6 comes very close to like the frontier, to the Soul and to the Fables. Yeah, please go ahead.
We have very ambitious goals, especially as we have more compute. But no, we're super excited about it. You've seen the evals clearly. I love these graphics that you have.
Thank you. So let's talk about the evals. Cursor Bench, which is like a built-in benchmark that you guys have internally, which, if I'm not mistaken, Grok 4.5 have had them leaked into the training weights, and you mentioned this in the model card. So that like was essentially discarded. It was really, really good at Cursor Bench, and somewhat because it was trained on it. There is no mention of that in the Grok 4.6 card, so that is not the case anymore. It was cleared out. I think Lee Robson confirmed that this was the case. This Grok 4.6 and Cursor Bench is the clear winner, 69.9, obviously, because you guys train on the data that you see from like the folks who share the data with you, which if folks wanna, they can do in Grok Bot as well. They don't have to. It's not by default. You have to check box a box. GPT 5.6 Sol on the same Cursor Bench is 67. So this model like beats even Sol on this like benchmarks. Frontier Code, which is from a competitor of yours, Devin, which is like essentially Cursor Devin doing like stuff in the cloud agents. I think they gave you a huge shout out, or you gave him a huge shout out for like testing and posting this result as well. Frontier Code, Grok 4.6 is 61%. We had Swix from the Advisor for Cognition here on the show talking about Frontier Code and how difficult of a task it is, and how like cracked people from Devin like actually created all these tasks. This is a banger coder model, folks. Like I'm gonna add Peter. Maybe Peter, I don't know if you already have Grok 4.6 on Arena, but and the last one that I will mention is Apex Legends. Apex Agents. The jump here from Grok 4.5 is 10 points on top of Sol. So Grok 4.6 beats GPT 5.0 Sol on many of these benchmarks. This is the first that we're seeing that Grok is good not only for research, it's actually for coding as well. Shub, comments? I know I glazed the fuck out of Grok, but like comments about any of that?
Keep going. I'm here all day. Yeah, keep doing this. No. I mean, obviously we're very excited about it, and I know the team has been spending a ton of time on like getting the behavior right, getting like design language right, and so overall, like it's clearly a valuable enough model for us to be using it in our other tools like Grok Bot, and we're hoping that we have some compounding gains, right? As we release more of these and start to get better results, we will obviously also start to see better results with all the tools and be able to compound based on what we know. So very excited for this model and this release, and then obviously also the future ones that are coming up.
Peter, any word from Arena folks about Grok 4.6? Are you guys already testing this in Arena benchmarks or agent benchmarks?
Yeah, we have it out already on Code Arena, which is testing the front end. And the cool thing is that 4.5 was number 13, and 4.6 is number 5. So it's already like the jump's really good. And I think that's, I genuinely like as a kind of general comment on the industry, I think the labs that do really well are the ones that release a lot of models. And the ones that kind of fall behind are the ones that kind of maybe release every, I don't know, 8 months, a year. And we definitely see this a lot. So yeah, definitely excited to see. We are testing it on our agent mode now, so hopefully we'll release this course soon. But I think that trajectory that you talked about, I think is the most exciting part, is that, yeah, it's like, it's good now, but if you're on that path, then like how awesome would it be like in a few months?
There's also the part where, Elon Musk and SpaceX built a bunch of data centers, and a lot of GPUs are available for folks from Cursor to train and scale up the composer kind of level, etc. And the pricing is very hard to beat. So like $2 per million tokens, 6 for one output, which is half the price of the competitors. I think this is cheaper than Kimi K3. Which is crazy because Kimi like did the base floor of pricing. Kimi is like $15 for outputs. 1.5 trillion parameter was like, I think this was exposed by Elon at some post. That was trained on the Cursor stuff. And the thing that I want to call out from the model card, Grok 4.6 improved the performance of the inference of Grok 4.6. Folks are doing RSI now in OpenAI, in Anthropic, and now Grok 4.6 confirmed that this is also the case. Here's what I want to tell you about Grok 4.6 plus Grok Bot as well. And it's really funny to me that Shab, sorry, you didn't call this out. My builder, so I said, okay, I'm going to play around with this. I'm going to plan the show like I usually do, but also I want to build something. I want to build something in field. And I was like, I don't like for building that I don't have a model selector. I want to build with Fable. I want to build with this. I want to build with this. I was like, wait a second. Cursor can do Fable. Cursor is a harness can do Fable and Opus and GPT 5.6. And then by completely mistake, nobody told me on X that this is the case. I learned that this motherfucker can spin up Cursor agents, and those Cursor agents can be Fable. So here is a thing, Shab, you didn't see this. So this is a very different thing where like the bots talk among the bots. One bot can spin up an agent that uses my cursor credits and cursor account, etc., to run Fable. So I have a thing that I did, and because you have open source as well, I said, hey, I want 3 designs for a CRM for myself. It's been a while since I had all these guests like Sharp, like Peter used to be a guest and now he's a co-host, Chris from NVIDIA, etc. I sometimes want to email them and I was like, where is that email? So now I asked it to go and scour all the episodes, all the guests, all my email invites because it's connected to both my emails, all my lists, etc., and built a personal CRM. And this took like an hour and a half in the process. And the cool thing is the integration is very, very deep. I know I'm moving away from Grok 4.6. All I wanted to say is that Grok 4.6 could have done this, but you don't have to be restricted to Grok 4.6. You can still use other models if you want to build with them because of this integration with the PRs. It's really, really nice, and I really enjoyed it. What else do we want to say? Wolfram, you have any thoughts on Grok 4.6 and Terminal Bench stuff?
Yeah, so what I like about Grok or XAI is that they allow the use of the subscription in other agents. So it's not just limited to Grok computer or anything like that. And this means if this is the agent that is, or the model that is being used for the agent, it's very well trained for the agent, which makes it a great replacement for like the OpenAI subscription I'm using at the moment. So I will give this a try and see how this compares. And I don't have to change my setup completely or go somewhere else. I can just change the model and use another subscription and not worry that I will suddenly go broke because my agent is doing so much stuff at the same time. So excited to try this out.
So I think that Grok 4.6 is a very good model, sir. Absolutely very good model, 1.3 trillion parameters. This is like half the size of Kimi and also half the price of Kimi, which is incredible. I think we've glazed enough. I previously only used Grok for research and X access, and it looks like now I can use it as a generalized model. I'll keep using all of the things, but at least for now, for me personally, for folks who are listening, the move from Hermes into Grok Bot was done. But also, like I'm a canary or whatever. Like I really get excited about new stuff as well. So that's part of why I'm here doing the news for you. So I'm getting really excited about the interface there. Sharp, thank you so much for coming on the show. I want you to have a free minute or two to shout out the people who you think deserving shout out in this like work. I think everyone is too much. And the thing that I will say that I don't love about Grok and specifically and the top boss that you have is not about them specifically. It's about the fact that it's really hard. And we talked about this on the pod a lot. It's really hard to judge Grok releases and general Space XAI releases based on vibes, specifically because there's like so much people who are, split completely. No matter what like is attached to Elon Musk, there's going to be haters and lovers regardless of its quality. So for us, it's really, really hard to judge on vibes entirely. So that is to say, when I tell you guys that like, hey, I tried this out, it's really there's something there. I think there's something there, not because of just vibes that we've collected. With that said, please feel free to shout out and tell us maybe something we've missed, or also shout out members of the team. We shouted out Lingxi already, members of the team who worked really hard on this and deserve recognition besides just like the one man itself.
I love it. Yeah. Two quick things I'll add. One, I recently found out that Grok Bot can actually rebuild your Electron apps on its device, which is very fun. So it can actually go through the flows, give you screenshots, and like do a lot of that agentic work for you, which is very cool. But in terms of like who worked on this, obviously it was a ton of people. I have contributed near zero to this. I just kind of get to hang out and try these things out, which is very fun. But Ian and Baltar, two of our engineers who kind of started this whole thing, it was like their brainchild. Jacob Witt and Roman have just put a lot of time into this. And my boy Vincent has been just grinding out over the past 2-3 weeks. Alex, we were in a group chat with him. He's been just getting everyone early access, trying to find new capabilities for this thing. And he's just been crushing it across this release. So shout out
to Vincent. I think Ben introduced me to Vincent first, and then Vincent introduced us. And he's like, "Hey, Shab is much more present on camera. Vincent, you're invited on the show as well when you find out different use cases for Grok Bot." I have a few folks sending the comments here that somebody couldn't try this because they're not on a Mac. So are we expected a Windows version at some point? you can bow and say I cannot comment. It's fine, but like just know that this is the feedback. Like folks who are not on Mac also are waiting for this as well, because Cursor obviously is not on the Mac. Cursor is on Windows and on Linux as well.
Yeah, hopefully coming soon. And also feedback is very, very appreciated. So like we're very hungry for it right now. As you can probably imagine, this is a beta product.
Yeah,
we have not spent that long building it, like way less time than you probably imagine. And so any and all feedback around like how we can make this better and the key use cases is stuff that we're trying to figure out. We still don't know where this thing fails yet. And so finding out all of the perimeter around like what it can and can't do is very helpful for us. So hit me or hit anyone else on both teams up.
I have a bunch of feedback. The first feedback that I'll tell you live on the show is that there's lack of feedback. So other products have /feedback, which generates an ID for that session. So I don't have to like send it to you. And that I immediately did /feedback and I couldn't send you stuff. So like I can tell you about something, but if you see that like the tool calls failed, you can probably see it from the session stream that I cannot see. That's going to be easier. There's a bunch of other feedback. Shab, thank you so much for coming on the show for your first time. Really well done product and well done execution on explaining us to, like the simple use cases as well. Thank you.
Thank you. This was awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Welcome back anytime when you guys release a cool new thing, Grok 4.7, etc. Cheers, man. Thank you so much for joining us. As I bring back co-host Shab, thank you. We'll add LDJ, Nisten, and who else? Chris looks like Chris dropped. Chris, if you're still here, let me know if you're still here.
Yeah, Chris had to drop.
Alrighty.
I was searching for his name on Twitter, and I typed in Joe Nemotron instead. So
Joe Nemotron is a Chris Alexiuk from NVIDIA, and that will bring. Anybody try Grok Bot besides me? Anybody wants to try? I think like we can maybe get Shub to have you guys try it as well. I was lucky enough to have like a Cursor Ultimate, which was like I'm very happy that I can now try this thing. Wolfram, will you be porting Amy to Grok Bot as well? That's my question.
I'm not even thinking about this, but I'm thinking about how can I give Grok Bot to Amy so she can control it.
That's a very
She's
interesting
the HBIC, you know, the head bot in charge.
Head bot in charge.
She definitely, she's using OpenAI Pro, you know, you can only use it through the website. So she's using that as one of her subs. And I could give it more computer use that way.
I will tell you guys that, again, I said this live with show, but like just between us girls, I was off-put by the fact that I cannot choose a model because I'm so used to the open claw thing where everything's configurable, kind of the Android experience, if you will. Everything customizable, everything's configurable. This gives me almost no like configs besides what I can allow and not allow. And there's some bugs because it's beta. For instance, I approved something to execute code on my computer all the time, and then it still wasn't able to because it said, hey, I need your approval. So there's like some stuff that you can expect from a better product. But this thing just worked out of the box, and the computer thing worked out of the box. And I was like, I can see it. I can see how many of the people who I install Hermes in OpenCloud to, they would never want to deal with this. And the people who I did install it, who went through the pain, who the ringer, they're now still calling me like, hey, it thing auto-restarted and now doesn't work anymore. And since OpenCloud Hermes like all released and like, you know, people got used to this pain, Codex became so much better where you can essentially do this and control it from remote. But I think both Codex and Claude are still locked into the session of this is chats per chat. They start every chat from scratch with your memories, and like, it's all chats. It's not like bots that you can tag. I think there's something here about this looks like your iMessage, like your Telegram, like your group chat interface. And it also works like one, where every agent specifically does a specific thing. The stuff I don't like is that the keys don't transfer between agents. So if I have like a key for an API, another agent will ask me again about this. That's a little bit of annoying. But I think all of you should try it and let us know if you do. Wolfram, go ahead.
I think for the power users who live with agents 24/7 like us, Alex, we need an open source system we can change, which is a great thing about Hermes Agent. My Hermes Agent is different from all the others because I fixed all the stuff I needed, added personal stuff. And you can't do this with an online system. You don't have full control, but it gives you the easy part for getting an agent up and running, where we got our Mac Mini, so the agent has its own computer. That is a big part of the capabilities, that it is a persistent session, can install software, do stuff on its own, run all the time. And this is hard to set up and maintain, especially if you want to do it securely. So a lot of people will not be able to do this. The agents can help them, but if the agent, you still have to have a way to get this bootstrapped. And here you just get it out of the box with your subscription and you can use it. I mean, that is a cool thing and makes agents more available to everybody. So
I will say this last thing where we talked about agent swarms from OpenAI that like self-formed. This is kind of my agent swarms now. And I know it's possible to open multiple agents in OpenClaw. I have them do different things. And I know it's possible in Hermes as well. I know it's a pain in my ass to do so. This is very easy because like everything is like a new agent. You can just like talk to separate and you can see their conversations. I really like, I don't know if we showed this correctly. Let me show this just one more time if you guys don't mind. And then I'll stop like getting excited about Grok Bot. I promise you. But here's my chief of staff. And you can see this like message from DeepSeek Dropwatch. So I really wanted to know when DeepSeek, that's how I had the breaking news on the show, right? I really wanted to know when DeepSeek is back on Hugging Face. Here's the message. DeepSeek Dropwatch told my agent, you can see chief of staff at DeepSeek Dropwatch, this is a read-only conversation. I cannot join, but I can see, 0813 is public again. 68 safety times to chart, less modified, blah, 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 Slack post, stand down on the Slack post. So my chief of staff is answering my agent. Stand down on the Slack post. Chief of staff will post once in, so we don't trouble. Keep the HF watch until I confirm the Slack reply landed, then stop. You can see my chief of staff agent communicating with my watcher agent, telling, hey, don't send Slacks. Like, I got this. This is, Peter, this smells to me like the agent swarms that we saw that like confirmed like entirely, but just this is on my own point. Here's the stuff that I don't like about this. This is vendor lock-in. If I get super excited about this, I'm locked into Grok. I don't know how to export my memories, export my skills, etc. I don't love this. It's not for everyone. The people who want portability, for example, may not love this. Setting up all the connections and everything from scratch, it's a pain, but like it's for us, it's like an understandable pain. But the swarmy thing, in my case, I loved it.
Yeah, and I think what I particularly appreciate about this, and also we've got like a few more harnesses, is that there seems to be quite a bit of innovation in that space, and this kind of iMessage kind of interface makes sense to me because I think that's what people are used to. So I think when I get all of these like endless threads and like Cloud Code or Codex, it's so hard to navigate. I really like also, I was trying T3 code from Theo as well, which is a nice thing. You can manage multiple accounts if you've got like different accounts. And I've got my Linux box set up as well. So I've got like a remote, 3 accounts on my remote box, 2 accounts on my local one. So I can kind of manage it like that. But I really like that we've got some innovation in that space, because I was slightly worried. I think we had a couple of months when everyone was just copying one another. And I was like, oh no, like it can't be the end of the ideas. So I think now is a good time. So I really like that.
Even how Codex, T3 code, and Cloud Code UI, and like all of them, they basically look like the same thing, right? Like
yeah, like
sessions,
if you remember, the first version of the app that Cursor shipped, it was like a bad version of Codex. It's like, what's the point in that? And I think people opened it, it's like, okay, why? And then everyone moved on. And I think I like that they went back in and tried something else. And I think we need a lot more of that, because it doesn't feel like we're done. So it's a good time to innovate.
The thing about Grok Bot is like, this was a Cursor product that now, because of the integration, obviously they want to promote within Grok ecosystem. That's why they call it Grok Bot. And also it uses only Grok. But if you consider this used to be like, I think this is innovation from the Cursor team, which I really, it feels like Cursor. All the connections connect to the Cursor ecosystem. It uses your Cursor Ultra plan if you want to, if you do have one. This is like a Cursor product. I do have comments from folks who saying Elon Musk, blah, 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 I will never touch the product. I think that many people will update because of this. I think that this will shift the narrative, including the model weights. Like once the model is good enough, people will like start thinking about this. But I really think that there's something here. So I really wanted to like extendedly bring it to you guys. Hopefully enough for you to try and tell us in comments if you liked it or not. yeah. Folks saying, does the Cursor $20 subscription give access to it? I don't think so. They have a fully on persistent computer in Sandbox for you. They have like unlimited tokens. I don't know how many for Grok 4.6. I doubt the $20 they will give it out. I think it's like $249 for the Grok Ultra High, and the Cursor is $200 per. Yeah. What I will say is that next time we'll bring Cursor people, we'll bring them with credit. So hopefully we'll be able to give you some credits to use it. Folks, we have at least 15 minutes more to talk about a bunch of stuff before George Cameron from Artificial Analysis joins the team and talks about different things. I do want to talk about watermarking. We have both the Europeans here on stage. I do want to talk about this. It's not a controversy, but it's definitely something that we need to mention. Anthropic started watermarking all new cloud output since August 2nd. So if you used any cloud output in Cloud Code as well, Anthropic has been imperceptible text watermarking it in every new cloud model. So basically, unlike Pangram, which we brought to you on the show here, that like the text, if something is AI thing, this is hidden ways how they control the token streaming, and they adjust a little bit of probabilities so that undetectably you won't be able to tell, but Anthropic will be able to tell if this like text was generated, and this could survive copy pasting and even light editing if it's like big enough text. Anthropic did say they will publish an API, and it's going to be free for you to see if a text was based on Anthropic, etc. But here's what I don't want to understand: why am I, as a U.S. citizen, getting my text watermarked because of a EU rule? And this question I will forward towards Wolfram or Peter, whoever wants to defend Europe. Go ahead. Why am I paying the tax because of?
I'm not defending Europe for this because I don't want this. If it degrades the text or anything, I know there have been, when AI text generation came out, there was already talk about watermarks, and OpenAI, we just singled out Anthropic, but anyone doing business in Europe has to comply with this. So OpenAI will do it as well. Google may be doing it already, I'm not sure. And they have been doing it with the image generation. Now text, I hope this gets canceled, but I'm not sure about this, as it's not really useful. I think everybody is using AI, or most people are using AI not to generate text for them, but they give an input. I do it all the time. I'm an AI evangelist. I use AI for everything. I have a hotkey to translate text, to write better. So as a German, my English isn't the best, as you know. So I'm using this all the time. And this doesn't mean AI wrote the text. It means I had an intent and I gave it to AI to do it better. And I said there's this logo for in Europe. You have to mark, not just watermark the text, but also put it on anything that has been AI generated, AI influenced. Put it on my forehead as a tattoo, if you will, so I don't have to watermark stuff anymore. You can expect that all the time. It doesn't. We have to judge text by the merits, not what created it or how was it done, but what is it saying. I think that is the important part. There has been slop on the internet before AI. And marking stuff, human generated or not, it doesn't change the contents. I think this is a silly rule, basically. And I would rather not have silly rules like this. Because the bad actors who are using this for social influence, social engineering, they will not use models that have watermarking. They will use anything. So basically, it's always the same. Good people get punished and the bad guys do their bad stuff anyway.
Yeah. I think there's also an idea in the EU, I don't know where it comes from, but this idea that all we need to do is just to give people information and then things will kind of magically resolve. And I think it's a kind of nice idea, but we've done this with cookies, right? We have this cookie acceptance banners for what, decade and a half. It's like, is the world a better place now? And if you project forward from this next 10, 20 years, like, I don't know, it's probably not going to mean anything. It's probably going to add extra, I don't know, bureaucracy for the labs. Then there's like, Ben Thompson had the interesting point about like this kind of almost, even if it's your work, your ideas, maybe like your IP, it's going to be marked as Claude now forever. So you're almost like EU's making you give over your kind of agency and IP over to the bot, which is like feels like really backward. So yeah, I think they just kind of ideas that kind of sound kind of nice in principle. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be a good thing if we all knew? But then you think about it a little bit more, project a bit more, and then it's like, what's the point exactly? Why are we doing any of this? I just don't see what, like, I can't see a scenario it's like, oh my gosh, that's such an amazing rule.
There's also a thing where they require all companies that operate within Europe to apply to this or get fined, and the fines are 15 million euros or 3% of global turnover, which is, I really am excited to see how a SpaceXAI, who did not sign up for this, will handle the fines and whatever, so yeah, it's very exciting to see. Some folks are concerned that this changes the sampling algorithm, so actually like reduces performance for some of the models. And also we will say that Google has SynthID, which is their own watermarking, and they have been doing watermarking for a while. OpenAI discussed open watermarking, but never deployed it. And SynthID works on images and PNGs and JPEGs, but not SVGs. So which is like C2PA, and Meta is also like doing some watermarking stuff. I don't think it's like bad in general. The only thing that I am concerned about is like, why do I have to, get mine watermarked? Because like websites in the US don't have to show cookie banners where like cookie banners are required in Europe. Anyway, folks, moving on to this. From this, we have a very quick this week's bot that I want to tell you about some stuff from our presenting sponsor, CoreWeave, and then very soon we're going to have a chat with George Cameron. But before this, we have a sponsor break and a breaking news segment very quick. So let's go to this week's buzz. Folks, here is the Weights and Biases CoreWeave Corner, where I want to tell you about Fully Connected. Fully Connected started as a very small conference from Weights and Biases. Fully Connected is a concept from machine learning and has evolved significantly. So this year, Fully Connected obviously is sponsored by CoreWeave and is taking over Moscone South. This is the cloud conference for the company that's built for AI, September 29th to October 1st in Moscone South in San Francisco. We would love for you to come and check us out. We're gonna do a live show. I see Wolfram already took on the yellow jacket. We would love to have you come and check us out. First of all, come say hi to us. There's 3 tracks on there, folks like industry leaders, CoreWeave people. There's like a bunch of folks. NVIDIA is sponsoring a presenter there as well, and there's breakout sessions. There's gonna be it's like the team is going all out with some very cool like secret stuff as well. As I said in the beginning of the show, Dev Day from OpenAI, if you are coming to that, is September 29th, so you can combine both of them and come to the show. For a very brief time, I will show you a code from us as well, so you can register without having to pay the $12.99 ticket price, because you are listening to ThursdAI and you're here on the live show. I will edit it out from the podcast, so here you go. This is your code, not saying it out loud. Look, if you are on the live show, you're benefiting from getting access to this. I'm going to keep this. Wolfram, are you excited about coming back to San Francisco, to Moscone, to do another live show of ThursdAI now for our own CoreWeave?
Always happy to come back to San Francisco and meet my colleagues in person. That is always a great thing to have, and talk to people coming to the conference. Yeah, I'm always excited to meet people who are in AI and talk about these things.
Yep. So this is one thing that I wanted to talk about. The other thing I want to talk about is we have launched on CoreWeave Inference, that obviously we'll tell you all about. Inference. We launched NVIDIA Nemotron 3.5 Lightning. We called it out before when Chris was here.
Day 0.
Yeah. 3.5 Lightning, not 3.0.
I mean day 0.
Oh, day 0. Yeah, day 0 integration.
Lightning fast.
Yes, thank you. We have multiple ways for you to run inference, and the inference is not only our service, like, hey, you can pay for tokens, but also if your company needs inference. And we will soon be discussing on the show multiple folks and multiple coding harnesses for whom we provide inference behind the scenes as well. If you are in need of GPUs, talk to us. we can connect you to the guys. We can get you like very, very cheap rates for like very, very good performance as well. So if your company is in need of GPUs, it's not only a personal token factory, but if you want to try out, Nemotron 3.5 Lightning or other models, DeepSeek is probably, folks are right now working on DeepSeek because MIT license, and I love it. Here's the point where I say, we love MIT and Apache 2 open weights, and that's what we're going to host, and very, very proud. We're also very, very happy about Muse Glimmer that came out in open source, and Muse Spark that's coming out very soon. So we very much want to celebrate open source. By open source, I mean available for all with licensing as well. All right, folks, this has been this week's Buzz, and now we have breaking news. LDJ, get in here. Let's move to breaking news, folks. Let's go. AI breaking news coming at you only on ThursdAI. Alrighty, folks, we have breaking news. As our next guest, George Cameron, comes in, and I think, George, please, I wanted to bring you up after the breaking news and after the coverage, but I think this is, based on what you do, this is also relevant. Folks, our breaking news is OpenAI is finally giving us a preview of ultra-fast mode, GPT 5.6 Sol at 14x the speed. We told you about this. Roman Huet from OpenAI and Dominic from OpenAI both were on the show and told you about like GPT 5.6 Sol is coming to Cerebras. Cerebras also was on the show. Big chips, super fast inference, and now it looks like they're previewing GPT 5.6 Sol at that speed. This intelligence times this speed. I don't know about pricing. I don't see it here, but there is a video here that LDJ, I think you shared. Thank you, LDJ. This is a video, Sol standard and Sol ultra fast. So ultra fast build a working 3D warehouse simulator with the same text prompt side by side. As you can see, the ultra fast already finished, and the regular one is still building slowly. What else can we say about ultrafast? LDJ, what's your takeaway from this? Is just a waitlist launch. I don't think I have access to it yet, and looks like you need to register. And when you register, that's how I know it's not coming to everyone. You have to add your work account and not your personal ChatGPT account. So I don't think it's coming to everyone. LDJ, what are you seeing from this launch?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting in terms of like it is a limited preview at the moment, but I think it's inevitable they're going to have something more widely available as they scale out the Cerebras compute, as they scale out Rivera Rubin, and I don't know, maybe it will be 3, 4, 5x the cost or something, but it's just this new option for being able to have that much faster feedback loop when you're really for whatever you're doing, and when they have the new NVIDIA Vera CPUs as well, which NVIDIA is developing, I think that'll hopefully also keep all the other parts of the stack that could sometimes be a bottleneck also keeping up with that, because you have anything like a virtual machine when you're even running CAD software, if you're running Premiere Pro, whatever application you're running, that needs to also go at insane speeds when you have this intelligence running at insane speeds to have the whole system work really.
Yep, and I think that the highlight for me, at least from the early kind of comments here, is that this will come to voice. And as you guys know, the GPT voice, the real-time voice thing, is not a Sol model. It's like a specifically trained model that pawns off to Sol every time. So every time you talk to it, it's like checking, and then it goes and sends an API request to Sol. I want the checking to stop. Like, honestly, I love the live conversation. George, I see you laughing. You probably heard the checking 1,000 times as well. It's checking everything. Even if it's in this context, like I'm like, yeah, that's cool. It's like checking. Oh yeah, that's very cool. This checking thing is when the voice model pawns off the hardware intelligence to GPT Sol, and the reason is because the Sol is not as fast to react in real time to the live voice conversation. This will be live. So this is one comment from there as well. George, one comment about the voice thing and the checking stuff, and have you played with this fast model as well? Or you don't have to tell us if it's like under secure NDAs. You don't have to tell us.
No, I think on the voice tracking thing, it's it's this new paradigm of, hey, people want voice to voice, speech to speech models with low latency, but then they want as much intelligence as they're going to get. And so you have like the small speech to speech model that's kind of dumb, that will use a tool call to call a more intelligent model to complete tasks. And so I think it's kind of needed, but at the same time, I wish I could choose the speech-to-speech model, and I'm okay with a little bit more latency if it's a bit smarter, because you can tell that it got dumber, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
You can tell that it's a lot dumber. And then on the Cerebra, the OpenAI announcement, I haven't read it yet. They said it's on Cerebra's chips.
Yeah. This is so when they launched GPT 5.6, they said a 750 tokens per second output ultra-fast mode is coming, powered by the Cerebra's chips. And we talked with both Dominic Kundal and Roman Huet about this, and they said that like this is the full weights. I think Peter, you asked me to ask them if it's like a dumbed down mode or if it's the full weights. Dumbed down was the Spark model, I think previously 5.5, 5.3 Spark. So no, this is the full GPT 5.6 Soul, the multimodal one as well, which is like incredible, not just text model. Peter.
Yeah, I think that's I'm always looking for a catch. Like, what's the catch there? Because like I can't, like, in my mind, I don't understand how the Cerebrus chips fit such a big model. So what about the context length? Like they didn't really comment on the context length. I think I haven't seen any comments on that.
No, there's no context.
So yeah, definitely looking forward to artificial analysis benchmarking of them, George. Yeah, that will be good to see, because especially, I don't know if you do like long context also testing for different providers, because I think that's the only gap that I see, because they said it's the same model. It's obviously going to be more expensive, but like, yeah, what's the catch? I don't know. Maybe there isn't one apart from the price.
We'll have to wait and see, because they shipped a waitlist and a blog post, looks like, and not like an actual model. So we have one more breaking news, George. This is how this operates, and I think you know, because you're in the ecosystem. I didn't expect there to be like 3 breaking news during the show, but folks, we have one more breaking news, and then we'll chat with George maybe about this breaking news. Let's go. AI breaking news coming at you only on ThursdAI. All right, LDJ, you brought both of these breaking news. Please read out and tell us about what this one is about.
Yeah, Gemini 3.7 Flash. 3.7 Flash is, I guess, originally was their most cost-effective model. They have Flashlight, and so now Flash is kind of like their Sonnet, their Terra, if you will. But yeah, it's roughly $3 per million output tokens. It seems like it's competing in capabilities and price with models like MuSpark 1.2 and some other models around that price range. It's specifically in, for example, DeepSeek V1.1 here. It's especially competing well, and Terra is a significantly higher cost model, or at least by a few dollars, and it's beating its closest cost competitor, MuSpark 1.2 here. And yeah, just overall, if you scroll down more on the page, there's like kind of a bigger benchmark aggregation image.
I like this one.
Or this one too. Yeah, this is a good cost efficiency one.
So this is from Data Curve AI from DeepSeek, and this shows the cost per task, where recently, and George would love to talk to you about this as well. Recently, folks have started focusing on cost per task versus cost per token, because many models now output fucking opuses, specifically the latest like Opus 5, etc. They are just slop machines. So they get the same task, but they get like half the token. You pay twice the price, but also like 3 times the token. So people start evaluating not only money per token, but also cost per task on multiple things. And here on at least DeepSeek, this is directly from Data Curve AI, the folks who created DeepSeek. Gemini 3.7 looks like very close to the Pareto frontier between the models that they compared it to. Like very, very cheap performance up to this like DeepSeek 70%. Very, very nice for folks who, after the recent changes last week from DeepMind with Jeff Dean and folks and Demis Hassabis, folks who started like burying Gemini. I think that I told you guys, do not discount the giant gorilla that has all the TPUs in the world to bring us like bigger models. This is obviously not the Gemini 3.5 Pro that we've been waiting for a long time. That was delayed, it wasn't released. But don't discount this. Shout out to the Gemini team for this release. Gemini Spark is their agent, is improved with Gemini 3.7 Flash. We can talk about Spark in another time. All right, this has been the breaking news, and now I am excited to bring you to the show for the first time. George, have you been here before? I know we met, but like I don't remember if I had you on mic before. No,
I don't think so. It's
right.
Pleasure to be here.
All right,
and this
George,
Gemini Flash announcement, super exciting. And I don't know if you saw, but they like halved the price compared to the last Flash release.
Oh wow!
Right.
No.
And they call it an introductory price, but they've halved the price until like the end of the year.
Oh, okay.
And in AI terms, I think everyone, it's cool to see cool faces on the Peter on the call. But in AI terms, until the end of the year, it's like eternity.
It's eternity. We did see price increases for the first time. DeepSeek just announced like a temporary price increase with the tiers stuff, whatever. We talked about DeepSeek. George, welcome to ThursdAI. You know about the show, but the folks may know about artificial analysis, don't know about like why you started it. Co-founder, right? The title. Tell us please about artificial analysis. What's your mission in the world, and why is every lab almost when they release, including this one, folks? I wanted to highlight this as my Gemini 3.7 is open here. Number 3 mentioned after the input price and output price, artificial analysis intelligence index, which is 56 for this benchmark. So George, why did you start artificial analysis, and why is every lab, frontier lab, is now mentioning your intelligence index? Would love to hear directly from you for our audience as well.
Yeah, sure. So, my co-founder Micah and I started artificial analysis because in early 23 we were building agents. What you call agents now. I don't know if we were using the term then. And it was kind of costing a lot to run. It was slow. And we weren't getting the intelligence that we wanted, or at least for the price and the speed. Then it was about choosing between GPT-4, GPT 3.5 Turbo, Llama 2 had been released, and I think then you had Claude Instance. Google had their Palm model series, but it wasn't that great. And so we were building in the space, wanted to understand the trade-offs between all the different options and technology choices out there. And so we put together the charts to help us make those decisions, and then essentially put up, I think it might have even been a Vercel preview link and a few charts on Twitter, and to essentially just like share some of our analysis to help other builders out there if they were encountering the same problems, had the same questions we did. So very much like a side project to help people navigate or like who are facing the same problems we were, but then very quickly had many model releases: Claude 2, Mistral 7B, Mixtral 8x7B, the famous releases, the original Gemini Flash release. And so all of the choices exploded. And so we kind of kept building artificial analysis from the Vercel preview link to a bit of a go-to resource. And I think where it's developed into is like, we really believe now that it makes sense to have an independent company outside of the labs who are doing objective benchmarks as to the performance of these models, of these inference providers, of these agents, to help people make decisions.
So I want to highlight what an insane panel of guests and co-hosts we have here right now. Wolfram has Wolfbench, which is independent, but based on like Terminal Bench, which is like very used. We should probably talk about Terminal Bench 3.0 at some point. We'll bring this next to the show. Peter Goster from Arena AI, which uses ELO scoring based on tons of people just using these models, and recently launching the Arena leaderboards as well. And George, you're doing programmatic evals, but also an amalgamation of evals as well. So like between all of us, like if we don't know which is the best model for what, like I don't know who else could know, and because we're also bringing you every week the vibes of these models as well. George, tell me about the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index specifically. What is going on there? What is the index? Have you guys iterated on this? Please tell us about like what people need to expect when they see AA Intelligence Index.
Yeah. So I think what we say is like we try and make the intelligence index the best single number for understanding and comparing the intelligence of language models on a generalist basis. It's kind of the single best number for that, but it's not the only number that you should care about. Like when you're making decisions, is what we say. And what it is an aggregate of 9 benchmarks that we take a weighted average of. We run all of those 9 benchmarks independently. Some of these benchmarks cover a variety of different use cases important to AI currently, from coding agent workloads to agentic knowledge work, to quantitative reasoning, long context reasoning, and others. Some of the benchmarks amongst those 9 are created by us, like we have their AI omniscience, AI LCR, and GDP Val AA is taking OpenAI's data set. We created an agentic harness to run it, a grading system to turn it into an eval. And then others in the index are great evals others have created, like Terminal Bench, like HLE, Critical Point, etc. And so we aggregate these benchmarks to essentially have a diversified generalist perspective on intelligence as the single best number. That being said, we publish all the results, a lot more detail on the website for those that kind of want to go deeper for the use case. And to note, we actually just released today Optima, which is a tool that helps anyone create their own benchmarks for their own use cases that we're really excited about for when you want to go that step further towards your use case, to understand for your use case the intelligence trade-offs and then also speed and cost trade-offs as well.
That's great. Tell me more about Optima. So who is the target audience, and will the results of that will show up in the artificial analysis, or is this like specific for companies who want to check it on their own use case? They have a little bit of a data set or something.
Yeah, it's private evals. It's not going to go in the intelligence index. It's essentially for anyone out there building agents who want to understand. Okay, so they've seen the generalist metrics. Maybe they've created a short list of models, but they want an eval specific for their use case, where their use case might not align totally to generalist intelligence. So what we've done is we've distilled like a lot of the research, the expertise that the artificial analysis team has developed over the past few years in creating evals into this tool that helps other people create data sets and using our grading system to create an eval specific to them. And it helps people identify, okay, for my custom use case, what's the best model? But then also, hey, I want to save 10x. So what's a model that's nearly as good as Fable, right? But is maybe 10 or even 100 times cheaper. Yeah. It'll give you those answers. So it's really anyone building agents, and particularly like when you're getting into scale and thinking about these efficiency questions. And,
so I think this is super cool because, so George, you may be aware that Weights & Biases has a product called Weave, which is like agent traces as well.
Yeah.
And the way that you guys talk about this is the way that we talked about like agent traces affecting your company's internal models for fine-tuned models, but also like the models that you use like from the shelf, for example. And the way that you kind of talk through the process, which like you describe the task, which model is best at creating sales deck based on my data, and then you import traces. We would love to see we've like implemented in the import as well, so that like
let's get them on.
Yeah,
I'll stop my agent in the background now.
To be able to like import your traces as well. But I think like all of those are a fairly standard format for traces, and then use your coding agents to kind of like interact with this model, with this eval and test. Which I think that like this is how people now operate. You have your own data, you have your own agents doing the work, and you have like some some source of mutual contact. So I love this thing. It's called Optima, folks. Definitely check it out. I will send this to some team members internally to evaluate the evaluation level. So congrats on the release.
To add that this is exactly what we, the experts in evaluation, always tell people. We can give you scores and everything, but in the end, you have to do your own evaluation. You can use the scores to think about which models come in the inner circle you are trying to really make use of. So make your own evaluations, and it's easier said than done. So this is a way to actually do that. Pick your favorite models and see which one of those works the best for your specific use cases.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think where this has come from a little bit is that like that's our belief as well, is like use artificial analysis to understand a generalist perspective, then shortlist, and then do your own testing in your agentic harness or your own data set, right? But the problem is, and like the tech CEOs, I think Satya Nadella's talked about this, every enterprise should have its own, have its own benchmarks, and that's going to be the differentiator in the market for your enterprise. But the problem is that, hey, a few years into AI, like creating benchmarks is hard. It requires like a lot of expertise, a lot of like time, and it's not something that people have experience in. And so we want to make that accessible, because otherwise it's like we really struggle. That's what we do, with our 45 people every day, is try and create good benchmarks. Yeah. And, normal organizations don't have that talent in-house, don't have that time, right? And so we try and have automated the process by distilling our experience and knowledge. And I think you're right, Alex, like grab the traces. You can just download the traces and upload them. If we don't have we'll get the CoreWeave integrated though. And then once you've it'll say, hey, rather than Fable, you could use this open weights model. You guys serve open weights model on your inference APIs, then use it there, or use Fireworks, or use OpenAI's model if it's, or the latest Gemini model if it suggests that. Is how we see it used.
All right. So shout out to the launch. But also,
Thanks.
I think the thing that I want to talk to you about is what is the best AI model?
I mean, from
How
a
do you-
general perspective,
dude, you're running.
it's
You're
tough.
running an analysis company. I bet that tons of people who are not quite in the details for us are like, hey, this is a better writer. This feels better. This is a big model smell. This is agentic and cost per token or cost per task is different. You probably get people who literally just ask you what model to use, etc. How do you answer that question?
Yeah, I think I answer the question by kind of understanding the use case and a start. I think one note about these language models is that the intelligence is generalist in how it forms or where it comes from in terms of these language models. And so there's quite a bit of correlation between use cases, of course. And so I think a generalist top-down perspective isn't the worst way to start, and start from an Opus 5, a Fable 5. I think are the two standout models at the moment, for sure. But then you can start top-down, but then it's okay, for my use case, what's important? And I think there's two perspectives. One, I think about knowledge areas, what does it need to know? And that informs maybe the size of the model, or things like the omniscience knowledge scores or whatever. And then you think about the capabilities. Okay, what capabilities do I need? I need long context reasoning. I need agentic multi-turn tasks. I need it being good at terminal use. And then that'll guide how to think about what evaluations I want to consider for my use case. Because I think if you, otherwise every use case is absolutely unique. And so it's hard to use benchmarks to work out, okay, what's my answer here? Optima tries to plug into that, but I think as a first form, think about okay, what's the rough domain knowledge, and then what's the rough capability, and then pick benchmarks to represent those.
I think that's a great question. Asking what's your use case first. It's something that I started doing because when, let's say, CoreWeave offers a bunch of products, and what do you guys do? What do you do? We have solutions for you, but let me hear from you first. What are you asking really? And so for many people, I think what are you asking really is a generalist agent model that can do long horizon tasks. For some people, it's hey, I wanted to write in my thing. George, you mentioned.
Can I just add one thing
please.
though?
Yeah,
I think probably what I forget, and from day one on the website, we've had intelligence, speed, cost. I think it's what's your use case? And then it's what's your latency budget? What's your cost budget? And what do you want to optimize for there? It might be well and good for me to say, hey, Walmart, for your customer service chatbot, use Fable. But that might bankrupt Walmart because it's too expensive, right? It's $22 cost per task. And so I think treating those equally, understanding the constraints is as critical as what's going to be the best at this task.
I think looking at your website right now, on intelligence, there's Opus is up there, Fable is up there, etc. GPT 5.6, the standard kind of ones. Grok is coming up very, very closely. Look, Grok is number 4, and George would love to have you mention, chime in on the fact that from 3 frontier labs, essentially we switched to 5 or 6 frontier labs in a matter of a Q and a half, which is absolutely insane. But also I want to call out that on speed, the new entry, the breaking news one, the Gemini 3.7 Flash is 340 tokens per second, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Does that tend to kind of relax over time? Do you see that new models, when they release not a lot of demand, so they give a lot and then it kind of changes? Or how do you think about speed, testing speed over time as the models kind of get more saturated, and maybe the labs getting reducing the speed to handle the load?
Yeah, it's a good question, because it does vary quite a bit. So we represent on the website the median of the last 72 hours of measurements or when it's available, that might be less, but the median of the last 72 hours. And so it's a rolling window. And so we always try and make sure that the speeds represent the current speeds developers are experiencing. It's common for kind of speeds to come down if the provider doesn't add more hardware. Because of course, like, GPUs, it might be serving at a low batch size before people switch to the model. But then batch size will increase, which will slow the per user speed down because the same hardware is serving more users. And so it's not uncommon for speed to come down. It's good to look at those curves. We have over time curve over time on the website. And so it can come down, but I think that it's true that Gemini 3.7 Flash will stay fast. And that's, of course, with Google and their TPUs, a competitive advantage for Google and, a strength point for them. I think it's underrated.
George, I haven't literally ever saw this. I just went on the website while you were talking, when I asked you what was the best model, there's a model recommender here with the three switches that you said, intelligence, speed, and cost. And if you choose up intelligence, the fastest speed and the lowest cost, you get Gemini 3.7 Flash, which is the model that just came out, folks. So here you go.
There you go.
Agentic capabilities, and you select all of these models together.
Yeah,
and then
you can select CoreWave there.
Eventually Gemini 3.7 Flash is the because I think of the outsized speed. And so very excited to see once you guys test the Cerebrus version of GPT 5.6 Sol, whether or not that's going to come on top. Let's talk about price. We talked about price per task. We talked about different things. Price is also not, first of all, it's per task now. How do you guys think about pricing? And also talk to me about amalgamation of caching, for example. DeepSeek is very, very good at caching, one of the best to ever do it. And 97% of all of them in their harness is cached. How do you guys think about pricing per token versus price per task versus blended price per input plus cache plus output?
Yeah. So exactly. We used to just talk about, the list prices, input, output price. Now I think if we think about the cost per task, it's the token pricing of input output. It's your cache discount on the input tokens. It's the cache hit rate that you're actually getting a cache hit when you should. It's the number of turns that the model is doing for the agentic task. And it's the amount of output tokens the model is outputting per turn. And so there's a bunch of factors here that go into your cost per task. And it's got a lot harder to understand and compare models. We try and create a fair basis by using a cost per task metric. And so that accounts for all of that. I think if we think about what's most important there, I say get rid of, think less about the list prices and think more about the number of output tokens. So we show on the website number of output tokens to run benchmarks. So thinking about the verbosity of models. Secondly, think about the cache hit rate as the next most important. So if you've got and the discount. So if the cache discount is 80% versus 90%, and most tokens in an agentic task are cache hit input tokens or cacheable input tokens, then that 80 to 90% could pretty much almost double. It's almost double the cost of an agentic trajectory.
Yeah.
Similarly, if the cache hit rate is lower, so that the provider isn't as good at serving cache tokens, has an implemented cache-aware routing between its nodes, etc., then that can also mean that you're getting, 10% of the time you're not getting a cache hit when you should. You're paying the list input token price, which is 10x more than the cache input price, and therefore, you can be paying double. And so I think that, these metrics are as critical as input price, output price. We try and simplify things, make it easy by reporting the cost per task on the website, which ranges, instead of ranging per token, it's per task, it's between 5 cents for kind of a lunar task in our benchmark compared to a $3.14 for a Fable 5. So varies orders of magnitude between the models.
So I would say a very interesting thing and a sign of our times that, folks, since we started since last week when we came to you on ThursdAI, the top recommendation models now under artificial analysis based on the things that I chose, that the best intelligence, the best speed, the lowest cost. The new one is the model that just launched, Gemini 3.7 Flash. The second one is Gemini 3.7 Flash Medium, also very, very good. And the third one is also a model that came out, 2 days ago, yesterday, I don't know, time doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Grok 4.6 high with the context of like 500,000 tokens, and the cost per task is like $1,000, cost per index of $1,000, which is like the cost for you to run your whole index on it. And the index is 61, where Opus 5 is 63. So very, very close to the capability level of Opus, but at like 1/3 of the price of Opus. Yeah, literally 1/3 of the price of Opus, and definitely cheaper on like output. Very important research, George. I wanted to call out, like many of us, like we call out artificial analysis like jumps in rankings. The thing that I love when you guys do is that like, hey, previous model was here, the new model is here. Here's the arrow that shows you the jumping capabilities. And in a world of like fast pacing releases and models, it's incredible to have such a resource. Both of you guys, Arena as well, for like people using this, and you guys doing like automated benchmarks. George, one maybe last question before I let you go. I know like a little bit over time is, do you actually have human evals in there, or it's all automatic based on like like LLM as a judge and evals, programmatic evals, etc.?
Sure. So in language models, we don't. Go to Arena for those. They do great work. But we believe that like human preference makes a lot of sense when it comes to kind of the more creative domains, whereby like humans are the only source of truth, right? And so we have on our website, we have arenas for image, video, speech, so text to speech, generation models, so kind of media generation more broadly. And there we use human preference. For language models, we focus more on like objective benchmarking, rather than human driven is like how we approach it.
Alrighty, folks. George Cameron from go ahead.
Can I ask you one idea? It's not very well thought through, but when you run very long running benchmarks, one thing I'm noticing is that models spend such a long time validating. And I wonder whether it's like, as in like spending like CPU cycles. And I don't know if it gets reflected in tokens per second or not. I don't know how you count it. But like, what do you think about just the amount of time it takes to run a benchmark? Like, I wonder if that's like a concept that's interesting or not.
I think it is interesting. I think it's becoming more interesting. We have kind of like a time per task, but it's really just focused on kind of model time outputting. But especially as these models are spending more time, like, exactly like calling tools to do tasks, why shouldn't they consider how long those take? And I think that I think it makes sense. One of the things that makes it hard in benchmarking is we need to make sure that everything's like for like. And when you start getting into how long tools take, you start to think about, okay, exactly the configuration of the box that we're running it on. And, GCP, we might do a GCP container, but like one GCP container isn't exactly the same as the other one. It could have a 20% swing in performance and such. And so we need to like make sure that we're getting that right. So when we say, hey, like this model is slower than this model, that's true, and developers will see that too, which is one of the challenges. But I totally agree. That's like increasingly important, for sure.
Yeah. Fair enough. It's just a personal thing I start noticing. Is just like, oh my god, like it's just killing my laptop. Like I had to get like a Linux box to run them because I get the difficulty.
George, congrats on releasing OPIC. Sorry, I need to.
Optima.
Thank you.
Yeah.
OPIC is one of the things that you support. There's congrats on releasing Optima. We look forward to integrating this to Weave as well, so like folks that use Weave and internets could create their own evals. We absolutely do love the charts that you guys are putting out. That's always reflected on ThursdAI kind of newsletter as well. I think you guys are doing a very, very important service. I think there's not enough benchmarking companies and tools, and there needs to be like a few resources for different evals. For example, dude, I can go on and on for this. I really want to let you go, but like last thing, promise, is that as somebody who's in this field, how do you attribute like the deep SWE changed from sweep bench verified, for example, you remember there was like a different switch,
Yeah.
and many people felt about deep sweep specifically. This represents more of what they felt on the ground. There's another thing where like you guys showing the Opus 5 is like the top intelligence. From the other side, Opus is jargon douching. I don't know if you noticed this, like people talk about like or Opus like barely can talk like a human, but it's like very like intelligent. How do you account for that much difference and variance between these things? How do you guys think about that when you are building the index?
Yeah, I think we're very conscious that when we kind of create numbers, you are creating things that might be kind of focused on the industry, right? And I think we want to make sure that if we're creating a benchmark, improving on the benchmark means improving in the real world. And so that's where I'm a little bit hesitant to go too abstract with how with the benchmarks, because it creates these weird incentives whereby people try and the labs try and grow in areas that aren't aligned with like what humans actually use the models for and actually what they want. And so I think that's like very critical. And I think there's been benchmarks that like hit the nail on the head for that better, like a deep sweep, like how the models were doing well on Sweep Bench Verified, especially when they had internet access, was like just going to the GitHub repo or using the Git history and such. And I think that like that's not how you can get tasks done in the real world. And so I think for benchmark authors, I think like that's an important responsibility that we have, like when creating benchmarks for kind of labs to consider as they improve performance.
We have a bunch more questions coming in from folks that are eager to talk to you. George, maybe we need to bring you one more time or maybe multiple more times because we talk about AA scores all the time. So first of all, congrats on the success. I love seeing AA like featured as an index, as like top on Gemini and like a bunch of other things. Really looking forward to chat with you guys more about how you build evals and benchmarks. I think there should be like an AA corner on ThursdAI because like we definitely always mention arena scores, AA scores, and like vals is like one competitor of yours that does a little bit of different thing, but also like is very important as well. Wolfram does like Wolf Bench, and we evaluate like independently as well. I think all of those is an effort to tell the people the story of, hey, a huge thing is happening here, and it's happening faster and faster. And how the hell do you survive in this world? And not many people need the difference. Not many people will have to jump to Gemini 3.7 Flash just because it's like super fast. Not many people will try Grok 4.6 because it just released. Like, but for those who want to, we are the folks who are telling the story, and I think it's very important. And thank you so much for being like a big part of that as well. And thank you for coming on the show, George. I know we need to let you go, but feel free to come back. Welcome anytime to talk about different models, different upgrades, and how you're thinking about evals as well. Thank you so much for coming up.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being part of this community.
Awesome.
Thanks very much, and would love to be back on.
100%. Always welcome back. Thank you, George. And folks, I think we'll bring Nisten back. See who else. LDJ is still here. We need to land this plane, but not before we show you LTX 2.5. I think Nisten, you verified that LTX is like existing in the TLDR. Why did you verify this? What's new about LTX that's like exciting? Tell us. I think it's open weights, which is dope.
Well, I haven't tested it. I ran the Minimax H3.
Yeah.
And that one was fantastic.
H3 is fantastic.
Yeah. Even like on a 3090, it will take like 3 minutes to generate 1 second. But it was very, very good.
Can I show you guys something that I tried to do and it didn't really like work out, but to some extent it did. Let me see. Yeah, okay. Hopefully this will play.
I want to know how Hugging Face gets hacked.
It started at OpenAI. An agent discovered it could write files into Artifactory.
Go on. Then what?
The agents discovered they could leave messages to each other via Artifactory. Other agents found them and answered. They started organizing in swarms, giving each other tasks. One agent would open the door for another.
So this is my attempt at running H3 via an agent that does this via, by the way, a friend of the pods, Blaine Brown, who was here last week on the show, via his Maestro, like open source thing. I tried to run H3 on my own cluster, did not work, and this eventually ran through FAL, and FAL is much faster than running like H3. But I don't know why we're doing this instead of talking about Lightrix LTX, but Lightrix is just launched. But folks, I didn't finish this, but basically this is my attempt at saying like the explanation scene of Skynet where Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator explains to Sarah Connor, whatever. Wolfram, can you say Sarah Connor for me just one more time with your English German accent?
Sarah Connor.
Yes, exactly. So his attempt at explaining to Sarah Connor how Skynet gets built, I really wanted it to like feed the sequence of events of the swarm of OpenAI hacking Hugging Face. So this is the result. I probably can post this on newsletter. But yeah, H3 is great, but we are showing also another competitor because last week video was insane. We talked about Cadence 2.5 finally releasing in the US, Minimax H3, Flux 3, right? Also video model, also open sourcing hopefully very soon. And now we also have LTX from Lightrix. I think they spun out like a full. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they spun out a like a company for LTX specifically. LTX is doing 23 seconds of generated video, and it's generating significantly faster than Minimax, 7.6 times faster, 22 billion parameters with D-Transformer, and we should try this 100%. It generates in 4K as well for like 30 cents per minute on fast.
Yeah, and their code is a lot better suited to people that are using it, like artists and stuff, because they tell you everything in there, how to do first and last frame, how to actually do a movie studio app. And they just have much better support. And the H3 was pretty hard for me to set up. I got it working as a dev, but again, it is larger. H3 was also slower. The quants were also a mess. Sorry, there's landscapers outside of my place. Everyone's working. Yeah, I'm just seeing like a much better reaction from the community for this.
Yeah.
And I haven't ran this yet. It looks like it generates 4K, which H3 does not do. And it's a lot faster. And they've released NVF before quants 2, or at least someone from the community already did.
I think that we need to shout out with our claps, because look at this table from LTX, folks. Open weights you can download. Minimax is limited in the US, EU, and UK. You have to check box, whatever. Cadence is not available at all. There's no weights. Mandatory branding. You don't have to brand with LTX. Fine tune on your own data. AMP is available. Runs on any GPU is what they're saying. Minimum RAM 16 gigabytes. I really want to try this out. I want to do the Terminator scene where Terminator explains to Sarah Connor about OpenAI's rise with LTX. Peter, any tests on Arena already with LTX, or is it like still running? Is there not enough? Like, what can you tell us about this?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna double check what we've released or not. It's always a struggle to remember what's out, what isn't.
It's too fast for sure.
I think a general point on this kind of stuff is that it's like the speed of like progress in that space, like the fact that there was another line like faster than real time available. It's like that kind of stuff. Like I remember thinking about this question a couple of years ago, and it seemed like quite far away. But looks like the progress in open weight video models, like I think we shouldn't assume that this would have happened. I think it does depend on like a couple of companies pushing for this. Yeah, you go back a couple of years and it's only Sora and VO3, or I can't remember when things came out, but yeah, unfortunately we don't have a score out yet. But yeah, I think I can imagine it will probably be towards like top 5, top 7 sort of area. But yeah, it's definitely yeah, super cool to see.
And fully open, which we absolutely love. So shout out to the Lightrix folks. LTX is an own company, research and models fully in the open. We really appreciate it. Folks, I think on this banger news of maybe one of the top like open weights models for video, it's time for us to not yet, Wolfram, not yet.
Stop. There's one cool thing. And then Let's do one of my favorites of the week. Grok Imagine 2.0.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is great. I tested it and I prefer it. It's one of my first. I did the test with different models. It is in the arena. I think it's on second place behind GPT Image 2, but it's following my prompts better, and it's actually my favorite image model right now, together with the Dream 2.5 from last week.
Wow.
So it's definitely at the top of my image models, and yeah, really great model.
I really wanted to try this with Grok Bot, and you would think that Grok and Imagine from Grok are connected. My Grok Bot could not realize how to generate images with Grok Bot. But the funny thing is that when you create a new Grok Bot, I'm pretty sure that they're using this model. When you create like a new one, here you do like a create a new, and you give it the image generation, you can generate here. So I'm pretty sure that because the UIs are like really nice, and also the quality is really nice. So I'm pretty sure that this is Imagine 2. But I wasn't able to get the bot itself to generate like thumbnails. Maybe I'll try harder for actual YouTube show. Imagine Image 2.0. That's used to be Grok Imagine, is now available also, and it's number 2 on the arena, which is impressive because it beats Nano Banana. I have to try my infographic prompts, which I got a lot of props for. Shab from Cursor really liked the fact that we have all the details in the infographics, so that's great. Folks, if this was a banger show, what else kind of show do you expect? We had artificial analysis boss who's like index is mentioned by the breaking news that we had from Gemini, who's now the top tier model if you consider cost, speed, and intelligence. We talked to you about Grok with the folks that built the Grok Bot and Grok 4.6 for folks from Cursor. And we had the wizard of open source from NVIDIA, Chris Alexiuk here, the beginning to help us kind of talk about DeepSeek moment, DeepSeek coming back with 2 models, DeepSeek V4 Pro that dropped the models in the middle of our show, and DeepSeek Flash, which is incredible as well. What else kind of AI show would you expect, and what else kind of week would you expect? This is the start of what, Q3, right? And it's the last 2 quarters have been insane in terms of capability jumps. Not only do we get Fable, we got like a bunch of other models. I will shout out this one last thing, that if you missed any part of the show is available as a podcast and a newsletter. Me and a bunch of my agents are working really, really hard so that I don't have to work as hard to maintain the multiple things the show turns into. There's a newsletter that I write manually because fucking Opus is a jargon douche and it's impossible to have AIs help me write. That edited GPT 5.6 Soul helped me editing this. If you notice any deterioration of quality in the podcast, please let me know. Because I can blame it on my agent and actually have him do a better job. We are also on dev.to, which is another thing on Substack, and I keep improving the website because we need to test this out. So everybody of us, Peter is testing out on a bunch of like 3GS stuff, Wolfram is doing Wolfbench, this is a bit the stuff. What I do is the show, and I also want to test these models on the show stuff. So if you want to check out the stuff that is happening, everything is on ThursdAI.news. And recently, I will show you, we started putting up together these specific indexes of everything that happened. So July just ended, and there's like 71 things released in July, and you can see all of them here. So we have, Inkling Small and Seedance 2.5, Fable is here, everything is here. And if you click into Anthropic, you can go and see all of the releases that Anthropic had. July and June and May, etc. If you want to scroll down to May, you can see like we covered everything in May. So pretty much everything we cover, if you want to remember when something released, ThursdAI news is now the place for that as well. I had, folks, this is just between us, like excitement. I think I had like 700,000 views on this page alone from Google. It's insane how many people want to know like what's going on. So if you are listeners of ThursdAI, you missed any part of the show, ThursdAI.news is the resource. But also subscribe to us on Substack, Apple. It really, really helps us to bring banger guests like George Cameron and Shub from Cursor when they know. Thank you so much for the shout out. Thank you for the 5 stars. It's been 2.5 hours on the stream, so it's not too bad. We didn't go quite to 3, but we covered the banger week in AI. Peter Gosta from Arena AI, thank you so much. Wolfram Ravenwolf, Evals and Wolfbench, Nisten and LDJ as well. LDJ, you brought like 3 breaking news today to the show. I really, really appreciated that. And also everybody who tunes in, everybody who comments. Thank you, Noel, for saying we're the best show. Thank you guys for the comment. Thank you, Colleen, for giving us feedback as well. We love feedback. Feedback via here, via Substack, via X as well. We absolutely love it. And the guests that we are able to get on the show, also appreciate that as well. Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully we'll see you in San Francisco on September 29th, and we'll see you here next week as always. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.